Your Game Center update.
This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Nashville Predators took down the New Jersey Devils 6-4 last night, handing them their third regulation loss on the road this season. Nashville currently sits 1 point outside of a playoff wildcard spot going into the All-Star break. And Preds forward Matt Duchene addressed how the Preds were feeling before winning their last 3 games.
You know, that St. Louis game looks like a blessing in disguise now because we were tired, we weren't feeling it mentally, and came out laid an egg, and you know, it kind of brought some things to the surface that probably had gone unnoticed, and we had won some games that maybe we shouldn't have. So.
And it's conference championship weekend in the NFL. The AFC features Joe Burrow and the Bengals going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then over in the NFC, it's Brock Purdy and the 49ers versus Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Super Bowl is slated for February 12th. And Ian Rappaport reports this morning that the Los Angeles Rams have hired Mike LaFleur as their next offensive coordinator after the last 2 years with the New York Jets. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace.
Stillman and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Crank City scores. On both sides of the one big possession. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace, 1025, 1063 The Game. Chase in for Caroline today. She'll be back on Monday. Chase McCabe, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, reporter Nick Keyser on the ones and twos. Hope you're having a good Friday so far.
I like that, reporter Nick.
That's his thing.
Nick.
I told him, like the first time I called him that, he thought I was making fun of him, which I was, but he wasn't wrong. But I said, look, it's like the constable or the suit. You know, Nick Cale gave me the name the constable. Darren gave me the name the suit. And they took off.
Exactly.
You know, you make a brand out of it. So you just roll with it.
There you go.
Embrace it.
There you go.
We also established now that the suit is risen up in popularity and esteem, status.
Yeah.
We just talked to.
I heard it.
Did you?
I heard it, yeah.
So we're talking about a Chase McCabe wing. Hey, we saw it with Rodney Dangerfield in the movie Back to School. He got back into school not because of his grades, but he was willing to fund the new building, right? The Thornton Mellon School of Business.
Joe on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, says the Chase McCabe water fountain.
On the campus of Middle Tennessee.
Just a water fountain corner with a plaque above it.
Is it the new kind of water fountain where you can put your water bottle underneath?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not putting any cheap water fountains there.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
You're not old school.
Why just can't get like one of those?
How much is the water
big
fountain?
ones?
How do you do that?
I mean,
you can fund a water fountain.
Yeah, you should be. You can fund a water fountain. You know, the thing that sits outside in front of the. You know, we could put it. Where can we put the huge water fountain?
$1,300. Good Lord.
We'll take installments. We'll take installments.
Does this thing have the internet?
A 20-year plan, man. 20-year plan, okay?
$29.99 a month.
Hey, Chris, what's up? It's Chase. Hey, I like this water fountain. I'll give you $30 a month.
He's like,
pay it off.
We'll work with you. Just
wait, here's one for $600. We can do that.
Okay.
That's not bad. Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
So you're not talking. You're talking like the. You're not talking about the big water fountain.
No, I'm talking about like this. You put the.
You're
bottle.
talking about the little bottle.
You put the
water
bottle
dispenser.
Yeah, that's hey, we can do that.
I thought you were going big, like the big water fountain.
It's ADA compliant.
Exactly. Where you come in, when you come into the campus, you see the big water fountain. Chase's water fountain.
Oh, it's non-refrigerated. No, I can't do that. We got to get the refrigerated one.
Yeah, let's
well, you're going to be playing a little bit more.
These athletes need first-class water fountains.
Come on,
we need a filtered one and a refrigerated one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Remember the old ones in the 70s where you tried to fill up your water bottle with the old one, you push the button and it's not getting high enough, and you can only fill your cup about halfway
what
before it
happened to
starts
those
pouring
water
back
fountains?
out.
They're gone now.
They're not well.
Ever since COVID, they've either
Yeah.
put tape around them or they've taken them down.
Yep.
I used to get in trouble in elementary school because we had one that, I mean, it had some force to it. And so I would turn it on and I'd back away from it.
Oh,
and
you
try
let it
and
hit
see-
people?
No, I would try and see how I could catch it.
To see how much the arc could go.
And then I'd walk back into class with just like water all over my face, and the teacher would be like, "You can't go to the water fountain the rest of the day."
That's it. You've lost your
Okay,
privileges.
There
There's
you go.
water on the floor. I had to go clean
Then
it
there's
up.
the other trick where you put the piece of gum on there and it shoots straight up and gets you right in the face.
Man, y'all were bad, man. Gosh, Willie, man, you've come a long way, Willie.
I have.
Were we bad or were we bored?
Both.
Yeah, I don't know. But
man.
appreciate Chris Massaro for coming on and talking about their new facility that they broke ground on at MTSU. Mike LaFleur has been hired as the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. So another LaFleur goes to the Rams. Willie and I were just talking about that, Derek. What do you think about that? Because McVay's going to come back, but how it feels like every year now it's like how is he going to come back? Is he going to retire? He's one of those guys now. He's I think a year older than I am, so he's like 36, 37 somewhere in there. But he's won a Super Bowl. He's doing fine in life, but. I think the hiring of Mike LaFleur is a good move because maybe that takes a little bit off of him.
Yeah, I think they run similar offenses, or they have. Where Mike came from. So he goes to the Rams now.
Yeah.
So the transition should be seamless for him. Just getting to know, just like any coach or GM, getting to know your personnel and knowing what they can and what they cannot do. The Rams had a bunch of injuries on offense last year. You don't know how Cooper Kupp is going to come back from his injury. Jefferson played really well toward the end of the year, but he was injured a lot last season. They don't have no more Odell Beckham, even though they could bring him back if they feel the knee is ready to go. So that team they put together, as we all know, was put together for one reason only: to win the championship that year. Now they got to try to figure out all these pieces because guys are getting hurt, guys are getting older, bring in a new offensive coordinator, run the same system. Now how do he implement, sort of the way he called games with this group of offensive talent? Because you still don't know about Matthew Stafford. But
I would keep Baker.
Yeah, you got to keep Baker because you don't know. Yeah, you don't know what Matthew. He can go down again, or he might not come back fully healthy from the injury. So you have to keep Baker Mayfield because at least he gives you an opportunity to win ball games.
He does, I thought he really fit with that offense. You give him another year and a full offseason to learn it. I think that'd be good for him. And plus, Baker's not going to get a starting job anywhere now. I think he has to be a backup for a little bit. And what better place to be, than with the Rams in that offense. So I like that idea for him.
I wonder, as an offensive coordinator, does he have a past with McVay? Does he have a connection in his past? Because, we were talking about sometimes when you are the offensive coordinator in title, but it's really the mastermind of the head coach, right?
Well,
McVay is known for that offense. It's his offense. He is considered a great innovator for offenses in the league right now. Really good ideas. So does LaFleur come in with his own ideas, or is he coming in to run Sean McVay's offense? And is there a connection in the past?
Well, Matt LaFleur coached there, was the offensive coordinator. So that's probably.
So
the
was he ever there with Matt LaFleur?
No, he wasn't
no.
there. His last, before he got to, he was with the Jets obviously last season. It was only for a year, but before that he was with San Fran for a year. Before that he was in Atlanta for a year. Wow, he's only spent a year at each one of these places. Cleveland, he was offensive intern for a year. So he hasn't spent much time at his respective stops. It's been a year, and he's been moved in another year. So, but now he's He has the job that he had with New York. And that offense with the Jets, it seemed to, if they have a quarterback in place, that offense seemed to run pretty well. Now, their running back got hurt, Robinson. Was it Robinson? No, they brought in Robinson from Jacksonville.
Akers.
He got hurt, and that was their guy. And the offense suffered just a little bit, but they had a good thing going in with the Jets from an offensive standpoint. And I'm pretty sure, he's still run. It's still going to be the same offense, but again, it's how do you call the offense? And will McVay hand over more responsibility to him, or will he sort of keep everything
is he going to let him call the plays?
Exactly.
That's an interesting thing. Yeah, the connection is his brother Matt.
Yeah,
because Matt and McVay were all under the Shanahan tree, and were together in Washington, and then obviously Atlanta, and so that I think was kind of the connection there. But the Titans though were a week removed from Rand Carthon being introduced as the general manager, and the Titans still have not named an offensive coordinator. You got to think that's got to be coming soon. May depend on this weekend.
Yes. Yeah. That's what makes me pause, is that they're probably waiting to see what happens in these games this weekend, which directs you probably to Kansas City.
Right? I go back to my point yesterday. If it was going to be Tim Kelly, wouldn't they have done it already? Or is Tim Kelly if he doesn't get Matt Nagy or Eric Bieniemy?
I think he is. I think what they're probably telling him is, listen, you are, you have a strong possibility of getting this job, but we're going to interview other people as well. And I guess Tim understands that, and is going to wait because unless we miss something, and Caroline and I talked about this the other day, his name hasn't been floating around as potential hire for an offensive coordinator, Tim Kelly. So what is he going to do? I mean, he's just going to wait until either he gets the job or he remains in the position that he's in.
I'm a little bit with you, Chase. I think they would have found a way if that was their guy all along. So that makes me think it's not going to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, too, you're going to find who the OC is. The OC is going to help you find the O-line coach. And, it's all kind of builds on each other. But coming up next, I spent a whole 30 minutes on this, but I want to get some of your guys' thoughts on Jared's 8-point plan to bring Tom Brady to Nashville.
Tommy, as he said, Tommy. You don't call him Tom Brady. He said Tom.
I just want to get your guys' thoughts on it. There's some interesting points in it. We'll do that next. It's Caroline, Willie, and D. I almost said Chase. Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace with Chase in today. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown.
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Quaz with Little Harpeth, and I'm just having one of our Chicken Scratch American Pilsners. It's one refreshing beer and a good example of the German lagers that we craft right here in Nashville. Chicken Scratch is made with locally sourced raw white corn, giving it a subtle cornbready sweetness. And speaking of sweetness, Chicken Scratch's closest associate goes by the name of Deer Crossing Hellas, also a lager with a light crisp body and golden color, and it won us a gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival. So be on the lookout for our craft lagers. And as always, thank you for supporting our little brewery.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the game at 615-737-1025.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And we're the 3 best friends that anybody could have. We're the 3 best friends that anyone could have. We're gonna do things all the time together. Just because we're not on a bachelor party doesn't mean that we can't hang out.
Well done. Well done, Nick. Back here, Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace chasing for Caroline today.
Oh, man.
He was all excited. He's like, you guys got to listen to this.
Hey, you knocked that one out of the park.
Look,
Rookie
I
of the
am
year.
a Hangover fan, and
Rookie
I
of
thought
the
that
year.
fit perfectly.
You're the only person in America that's, the movie. Yeah, okay. Never mind. Said I'm a Hangover fan.
Yeah.
I'm not. I hate
the Hangover, not
Nick
a
doesn't.
Hangover.
Nick doesn't seem like he would be a fan of Hangover, having a hangover. He doesn't look like it.
I don't know if Nick's
one's
ever
a
had a
fan.
hangover.
Some people
Yes, I
are.
have.
Some people don't care. You know.
Yeah.
Some people don't mind. I lost those days a long time ago.
Sometimes, you guys know there's times I've come in here like, we're on the struggle bus today, boys. Some days we're driving the struggle bus. But,
and who knows where it's going to end up.
And who knows where it's going to end up. Real quick before we get to Jared's 8-point plan.
Mm-hmm. Are we going to go through all 8 points?
No, just a couple. But
how did you come up with 8 points? I don't know.
It's
Must
Jared.
have been bored.
It's Jared. Dan Quinn staying in Dallas. I wanted to bring this up with you guys real quick. I was surprised. I thought Dan Quinn was going to get another head coaching job.
What jobs are still open right now? How many jobs?
The only one that's been filled is Frank Reich to Carolina, which that was kind of a surprise.
So we still got Indy. We still got the Arizona Cardinals. Who else? Denver.
And Denver, Arizona, Indy, Houston.
So that's 4.
And D'Amico Ryans is going to go to Houston. I'm telling you
that would be
right
a good fit.
I guess for Dan Quinn, too, I would want to know, has he been aggressively going after every job and telling all these teams, you got to get me in there. I want in. I want to get a head coaching job again.
He may have.
Does he like his situation in Dallas? Is he being paid more than
he's highest paid coordinator
okay, so there's that. So I don't know. I'm just looking for reasons why
Here's what
you're not hearing his name more.
I think that there's been a Jerry says, Dan, come here.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
And says, hey, look, Dan, if this don't work out with Mike, you're my guy. All right? You're my guy, Dan. You my guy? Am I your guy? You're my guy.
Only if Sean Payton doesn't take a job.
I don't think he's going to take one this year.
I think he's holding out for that Dallas job.
It is starting to lean towards that. He hadn't gotten second interviews according to reports. Everybody else has, which is it's because I don't think teams want to give up that first round pick.
Yeah,
because
when is his contract up with?
I'd have
Dallas?
To look with the Saints.
You are the Saints. I said Dallas.
Now Dallas, I think Jerry would do it.
Oh, of course,
he would give it up.
But why? That's not smart. Why would you ever give up your first round pick?
Because it's Jerry
for that.
But it expires after the 2024 season.
So
I'd wait
2 years. Yeah, you got 2 years.
I'd wait.
Unless you want to pay whatever it is that final year that you would have to pay. And maybe it's worth it to Jerry Jones. It seems like Jerry has been coveting Sean Payton for a while.
Right.
So,
it will take draft compensation from any team wanting Payton to persuade the Saints to trade him, because essentially that's what it would be.
Yeah.
To me, that is a topic. What would you trade for a head coach?
What did Oakland trade for
John Gruden?
John Gruden.
Let's look back on that. There's been a couple of them in the past. Gruden is one of them. I'm trying to think of any others where you actually had to trade. I think wasn't Belichick a trade? Didn't he end up having to be traded from the Jets to the Patriots?
He was.
So I think that's a really good discussion is what coach is actually worth assets to trade for.
So here you go. But 2 decades ago, a few of the biggest names in coaching, Gruden, Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, were involved in such maneuvers. Parcells was
Patriots.
Jets?
Patriots to the Jets, yeah, I think. Because he retired, and then but they still, and then the Jets hired him. I'm trying to, I can't. It's a little fuzzy.
The Raiders got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and $8 million. The Bucs got Gruden.
Yeah, and the Bucs did win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, they did. Those picks turned into
that seemed like I remember sitting there going, if I'm the Raiders, man, that's a boatload of stuff for a head coach.
So the picks turned into the 21st and 53rd overall in 2002, the 32nd in 2003, and 33rd in 2004. While the Raiders didn't keep all those picks, the players selected in those spots were tight end Daniel Graham, offensive tackle Langston Walker, defensive end Tyler Brayton, and running back Tony Hollins. I don't remember any of these guys.
Daniel Graham, I think he might have been a good player.
Doesn't sound like they hit the jackpot, though, with the picks. But just from a simple asset standpoint, that's an interesting historical trade because, of course, as we know, they played each other in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? And that was pretty shortly thereafter, right? Was that the first year that Gruden was in Tampa Bay?
I believe so, yeah.
It was pretty close.
Yeah.
Because Tony Dungy ended up leaving, or did they fire him?
It was the first or second year.
Because Tony left there and went to Indy.
Ended up in Indy not long after that, yeah.
And then Gruden took over, and I think that first – because that team was ready-made for a Super Bowl.
Yes. Veteran team with the
because they
defense.
lost the prior year on a botched call. I think it was a catch, but they call it not a catch.
Well, that was the year you guys made it to the Super Bowl. Remember you guys won in Jacksonville.
And they lost to the Rams.
You watched the Rams, and the Bucs were they stopped that offense pretty cold.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Prohl,
it was his first year.
Made the catch late.
His first year. It was the 2002 season.
Okay.
They went 12-4 and won the Super Bowl.
So Dungy got him right to the edge there. But like you said, they had the defense. They had the pieces. They needed to get over the top. So I think that's a great discussion. I'd love to hear just if we had Rand Carthon here. What would you trade for a coach? Like not that that's the situation he walks into here. They've got their coach. But just it is a matter of philosophy.
Do you think a team
those
would
picks
do it
are
now?
The picks are precious, right? That's the lifeblood of your team is draft picks.
But do you think a team, looking back on it now, yes, Oakland, Tampa did win a Super Bowl, but that team was already – they were geared to win a Super Bowl. They had made it to the NFC Championship game the prior year. They bring in, they trade for Gruden. He comes in, they win the Super Bowl. Obviously, it took Bill Belichick a minute to win a Super Bowl in New England. Do you think a team, Bill Parcells, did he win a Super Bowl when he left? Or did they?
He got the Patriots to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And then left.
Uh-huh.
and then went to the Jets and got them to the AFC Championship game.
He left because that was the famous, they want you to cook the dinner, but they won't let you buy the groceries.
Yeah. So it's like there's only been really one example of a team like getting a coach and then winning it that year. It took, like I said, New England a minute to kind of get their thing to going with Bill Belichick.
Daniel Graham won 2 Super Bowls with New England. He was on those teams.
Tight end, yeah.
Yep.
That's why I remember his name. So I don't know if teams would do that now.
A first-round pick is a lot to
They're
give
going to
up.
have to. If somebody wants to, like, I thought that Sean Payton.
Unless you wait. Like, you could wait.
Unless you wait.
And see if he's still out there when you're free to do that. Like, we've seen early on, like, baseball had that rule with the basically their version of the restricted free agent, right? They are a free agent, but there's a compensatory pick you got to give back to get this guy. He's a free agent. You can pay him, but you have to give up a first-round pick.
Right.
To do it. And it got to the point where a lot of teams stopped doing that because they just didn't think it was worth giving up a first-round pick to do that.
Right. Like, how much do you really want him? Because I thought that Denver would end up hiring him, but then it feels like that's kind of.
But they've already given up the farm for Wilson. They can't then come back and do it again for Sean Payton. Your team already behind the 8 ball. You're gonna be off the table if you do that.
It just seems like there's always that need to bring in new blood that hopefully you develop into great players. But in the meantime, too, that can fill spots for you without taking up a lot of salary cap room. Right? That's the key to having. And you're going to miss on some, but the more picks you have, the better off. Especially
to me, they should
pick.
wait because Chase, you brought this up a while ago. Shane Bowen, he's going to get a job pretty soon. So, teams like Denver or other teams, there's young coaches that are coming down the pipeline. And I'm pretty sure Bowen's name will be at the top of that list next year.
And I think Bieniemy will get one too.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting game because this is more fun than the 8-point plan.
We can always get to the 8-point plan. We can get back to that.
Oh, believe me, we can get to the 8-point plan in a month from now.
Yeah, we can do that.
It's not going anywhere
in May. Jobs that could be open next year. So, if a team decides, okay, maybe next year I'd rather do it. Let's say Sean Payton doesn't get one, this year, which he still might, but it doesn't look like that he probably will. Dan Quinn's another one that I think if Dallas has another good year with defense, he's going to get looks again. To me, it kind of makes me think there's a job he's holding out for that hasn't opened up yet. But potential openings for next year in the next coaching cycle that could bring Sean Payton or somebody else in. We'll discuss that coming up next. It's Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Chase in for Caroline. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The offseason is underway for the Tennessee Titans, but the work has just begun for the two-tone blue.
The offensive line, as badly as they need another weapon, you have to fix left guard and left tackle.
For all the news and moves, keep it locked right here.
Talking Titans?
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Let's talk a little sports betting. The Superbook Sports app. You want to download it. It's my official sportsbook app. And the final drive for the championship is here. There's no better place to wager on the football title tilt than Superbook Sports. Superbook features the best menu of prop bets in the business. Plus, you can check out their special odds boosts and promotions over at superbook.com. With over 3 decades of odds-making experience in Las Vegas, there's no better place to wager than Superbook Sports. You can win some money as one lucky team wins the championship. Championship weekend. San Francisco getting 2.5 on the road at Philadelphia. That's the one I like. Cincinnati getting 1.5 on the road at Kansas City. Give me the Bengals, as that line has moved quite a bit because of the Mahomes ankle injury. So download the Superbook Sports app today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Ford. It's a new year, so I thought I would share my personal resolution with you. My resolution is to be able to hula hoop on the trampoline for 1 minute. This might be painful. Since I've had years of practice making resolutions, I thought I'd give you some tips on making yours. It should involve 3 key components. First, make it something new, like texting without using your thumbs. Second, make it easy, like reading more, or at least turning the subtitles on while binge watching Netflix. And third, make sure no matter what, that you buy your next new car from Newton. We want to make your purchase fast and easy with Newton FastPass. We'll even deliver the car to you. Remember, new, easy, and buy at Newton. I have a feeling this next year is going to be great. Shop at NewtonFord.com to start your resolution today. See website for details. Put your resolutions in writing.
Hey, it's Jared with my friends at Hiller. Kick off the new year with new upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize. Get a free 55-inch TV, Apple iPad, Solo Stove, or Nintendo Switch when you purchase new whole home generators or select new HVAC systems. Or a free 55-inch TV, Nintendo Switch, or Solo Stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of necessary home replacements, so call Hiller. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, every day is a great escape. With 35 miles of white sand, there's no better place to get away. So let's explore the secluded beaches of Fort DeSoto, or paddle our way around Honeymoon Island. Let's kick back, kayak, and catch crimson sunsets. Let's trade snow boots for bathing suits. Let's make today and tomorrow a beach day. Let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
When you want live and local.
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. You can hit us up on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, broadcasting from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Caroline off today. She'll be back on Monday. Talking a little head coaching carousel. So we know one job has been filled. Frank Reich will be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't hate the hire of Reich. I thought Steve Wilkes had done enough to earn that job. I thought Steve Wilkes should have kept that job. So that's my only, I guess, gripe with that.
And I'm sure a lot of other people felt that he got that team to continue to play.
Right.
Because, under Matt Rule, that team, just wasn't working.
What it tells me, Derek, is they're going to keep Darnold, and they want Reich to develop Darnold.
Possibly.
That's what it tells me.
Yeah, because, Sam Darnold, obviously he had somewhat of a – he had his year in the Jets where it looked like, he could be their franchise quarterback. But that organization was in shambles anyway. Then they trade him to Carolina, and he started to do well, but then he got injured. And that roster wasn't a great roster either. Then he Baker comes in and whatnot, and then he gets back into the starting lineup, and he plays well. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think they are bringing in Frank Reich to sort of, get in there and really be a teacher to Sam Darnold. Because, the kid has skill. He just needs someone to sort of, guide him along the way.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few teams that, let's say Sean Payton does not take a job this year. Mm-hmm. We've already established his contract with the Saints is up in 2024, at the end of the 2024 season. So there's 2 years left. So even if he goes through all this again next year, there would have to be draft pick compensation going to the Saints. But some teams that I think could target him. We start with the most obvious one. If Dallas doesn't do anything in the playoffs, like even if they make it and they lose again like they did, I know they beat Tampa, but then they lose in the divisional round, Mike McCarthy's gone. Yeah. And I think, yes, maybe Dan Quinn could just get that job because he's staying, but I think he's plan B to Sean Payton. And Jerry would give up the draft picks to get Sean Payton. I think.
Yeah,
how many?
He has how many? But he has a history with Sean Payton.
Sitting there going, whoa, you really want Sean Payton, huh? Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, and they know that. They know it's Jerry.
That's the thing.
They would try to fleece him.
It's like first round pick?
I would.
How about a first, second round pick?
You want him?
Well, I don't know. Is there a set thing? Like, has the league basically said, like, nah, this is what you get?
No, I think it's just you got to negotiate.
Yeah, it's like
right?
a player. You trade for whatever they're willing to give up. But yeah, I would tend to think that, if Mike McCarthy can't advance this team further into the playoffs and Dak is still young, you bring in a Sean Payton that can help, Dak, continue to grow as a quarterback in that system. That would be a ideal landing spot for Sean Payton. Here's another team. Next year, and it's not because he's not a good coach. I think he's a great coach. He's top 5, top 4 coach in the National Football League.
If you say the team that I'm thinking, you and I have worked together way too long.
I think John Harbaugh. Not because they would fight. I think John's been there 16. He's been there a long. He got there in 06, I believe. Was it 06 or 07? He got there in 07.
07.
Yeah, he got there in 07.
Was there anybody
because
between?
You played 2 years with Bellick?
No, he came after. It was Bellick.
Brian
Bellick. Yeah, Bellick.
You played 2 years for Bellick.
Yes,
and then
John came.
Yeah.
So John's you think about that's almost Steeler-esque.
Yes.
Having only 2 head coaches for that length of time.
Well, they've only had 3 in their franchise history.
Yeah.
Since they became Baltimore. Yeah,
exactly.
Ted Marchibroda was before Billick. Is that right?
Yep,
that sounds right. Well, did he move with them from Cleveland?
No, he became the coach when they became the Ravens.
Okay.
I think because I think Belichick was
the last coach of the
Belichick.
Browns. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so they had. And
how
then
how do we do
Bellick.
This? Because that's exactly what I was going to say. And I thought this is what I thought. I thought you were going to push back on me.
Oh no! I mean, I always make it my business to sort of watch, because they do this every year, to watch their sort of like State of the Union, end of the season State of the Union, and even through the season, I think maybe he's getting to a point where he's getting tired. Especially with this whole Lamar Jackson thing the last couple of seasons. And I know they just redid his contract, I believe. I think it was last season. I just think he probably just kind of want to segue out of it, because it's close to 20 years that he's been there.
Yeah, he's been there a long time.
So I wouldn't be surprised if John Harbaugh at the last year, especially if they don't get a deal worked out for Lamar Jackson, a long-term deal, I can see him saying, you know what, I'm just going to retire, period.
Yeah.
And walk away.
I could see it. So I think another one that I don't think Peyton would be interested in this job, but I think they would be interested in him. If Cleveland underachieves now that they have Deshaun Watson full-time, Cleveland's going to be open. I think that's one. Mm-hmm. The most obvious one to me that I think he would be interested in, and they should be interested in him, is the Chargers.
Yeah. Because I think if Brandon Staley doesn't get it right next year,
no, he's out.
Then, you have to move on. you have to move on. That would have been his third year.
Yeah.
And if the quarterback doesn't show any growth, you have to move on.
Yeah. So I think that is a potential. Looking at the NFC, which I think it's going to be harder for NFC teams because the Saints are in the NFC. But looking at the NFC, Washington could be open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Riverboat Ron, I mean they were 8-8 or 8-1. That's potential.
I think if they can get their quarterback like a solid, like some stability at the quarterback position, I think Ron stays a little bit longer.
Yep.
But if they don't, if they're still playing quarterback carousel here, then why would you want? I mean, I know why you would want to stay because Tim Hasselbeck says it all the time. There's only 32 of these jobs,
right?
And if you got one, you try to keep it, especially if you're trying to win Super Bowls. So it would have to take a lot for him to sort of step away.
This is a long shot for Peyton, but I do believe this job will be open. Tampa Bay.
Depending on, it depends on. I mean, it seems like they're,
I like Todd Bowles. I don't think he's a head coach.
I think Todd Bowles was. I think he was sort of. I'm not gonna say his hands were tied, but I think with Tom Brady being there, he only had so much say.
And he was thrown into it because Bruce
So
retired pretty quick.
So I think if he can sort of, and don't rule out if Bruce Arians comes back, don't rule that out either.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule
I think this year would be the year, this upcoming season, that they're going to give Todd Bowles an opportunity, minus Tom Brady, to sort of, now this is truly your team, like offensively and defensively, this is your team.
Here's another one. A little bit on the outside the box, but just one to keep an eye on. Seattle.
How old is Pete? Like 75?
Yeah. He's not that old. I think he's like 72.
72? But he's still, he's still energetic. But like you said, I mean, again, not to say that Pete can't do anything else, but what else would Pete? I'm sure he got grandkids. You probably want to go spend time with the grandkids, more time with them. But he just seems like he's just a ball coach, like one of those guys that, and we've seen him that, listen, I just want to coach football. That's all I want to do. Coach football, help these men grow professionally and personally. That's my life.
Yeah.
So him walking away at 72, 73, you might as well keep coaching.
I mean, Saban's 71.
Yeah.
Belichick's probably, they're all around the same age.
But I can't see Saban leaving Alabama no time soon.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's 71.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But he seems like an energetic 71, huh?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it.
I do think that is a big factor, right? But the other part that I think about with that is, like we were thinking during the break about the track of Bill Parcells and how that whole era went. He would take the breaks and then come back. Some of these guys have been going at it every year for all these years. I wonder if that does catch up after a while. But
a break.
Taking the physical thing seriously too, that knowing how to keep yourself fit, keeping yourself sharp, that's a big part of it. And I think those guys do a pretty good job in that area.
Pete Carroll was the head coach of the Patriots, and he was replaced by Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah. He succeeded Bill Parcells. He was the sandwich between Parcells and Belichick. That's pretty interesting for the Patriots.
You're right.
Patriots history.
You know what? I have two more teams that may be looking for a head coach next season or probably the season after that. But I'm thinking more of next season. There's two teams, I believe.
Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that coming up next. I have a feeling I might know where you're going, but we will do that coming up next. Caroline Willie D. Mace, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's D. Mason, y'all, and I want to tell you about my friends at Curation CBD. As a former athlete, listen, I have aches and I have pains all over, especially my knees. And I have been searching for a solution for years, man. I've done just about everything. You know, eye stem, you name it, acupuncture, you name it. But you know what? I found something. I found something that works, and it's Curation CBD. Curation means healing, and that's all it is. Curation is locally and organically sourced, high-quality CBD products for you and your pet. I'm going to repeat that, for you and your pets. Whether you're an active athlete like me and Willie, or you wear the suit like Chase, all right? Curation has something for everyone. So, listen, they even have, that stuff for pets, too. So you can order yours now. Go to CurationCompany.com and enter the code DMACE. That's DMASE to get 25% off. That's DMACE for 25% off. Curation, high quality CBD products curated for life.
Hi guys, it's Mark with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our wave technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, but will also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but it's free to those who call in the next 2 minutes. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
NFL alumni are teaming up to remind Tennesseans that COVID-19 is still here and is something we all need to protect against. Just like in football, protection keeps you in the game. Join former Titans Brad Hopkins, Albert Haynesworth, and NFL alumni of Tennessee president and All-Pro linebacker Al Smith this Saturday, January 28th from 11 to 3:30 p.m. at the Bordeaux Branch Library Community Health Fair, 4000 Clarksville Pike in Nashville. Meet the players, talk football, receive giveaways, and get free screenings and health services, including your vaccine. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself and your family from COVID-19.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off or get 18 months of no payments. That's right, no payments until summer 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, servicing southern Middle Tennessee. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Social Furniture's tax refund sale is going on now. You will save up to 50% at every department. Huge markdowns. You don't want to miss this opportunity to make your home spectacular. We have everything for your home in stock with no waiting. And hassle-free same-day delivery makes it easy. Pay no money down and pay no interest for 1 full year during Social Furniture's tax refund sale. Don't wait. Come in today. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center. And save, save, save.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game. Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace, chase in for Caroline today, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chase McCabe, Willie Donick, Derek Mason with you. Seren Petro talking Kansas City Chiefs coming up at noon with these guys as get you ready for championship weekend.
But remember who's on the Chiefs staff. There will be some questions along those lines.
Yeah, that will come up. That will come
OC.
up. Looking forward to that. All right, Derek, you say you have 2 more potential coaching openings for next year where you could link Sean Payton.
Yes, 2 more coaching options here. One, I think, and for no other reason but the same reason why I said, John Harbaugh or even, Pete Carroll, because, you've been in this game for so long. You've won Super Bowls. It's like, okay, what else? Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid is one.
Because he could retire?
Yeah, he could retire. And, especially if Matt Nagy stays, then that's just an easy segue to keep everything in place. The quarterback knows Nagy, and you can kind of go, you can kind of,
He'll get another chance being a head coach.
Of course, I know
it didn't
will.
work in Chicago, but I blame more Ryan Pace, the GM, than I do Matt Nagy.
But that could be a potential opening, not because of firing, but because Andy Reid steps down.
That's fair.
So I can see that possibly happening.
Belichick, if we're gonna be honest, then Belichick could.
But I think Belichick, he wants to. He's going to stay as long as he can because he wants to win that Super Bowl minus Tom Brady.
I think he and Saban have been talking and go like, "Hey, you want to do this at the same time? You just want to shock the sports world at the same time?"
Hey, that might happen. You never know. And then the last one for me is the Tennessee Titans.
I knew it.
Because
I knew we were going to go there.
Because they've set this thing in motion already. And listen, Mike's a good coach, but Mike is not immune to the discussion of potentially, not being the coach of the Tennessee Titans. We talk about all these other, coaches that have won Super Bowls, and we, this guy's horrible, this guy's bad. He's not a top 5 coach and all this other stuff. Well, Mike, he's done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
But, he hasn't, regardless of what the situations are, he has not taken this team. This team has regressed over the last couple of years. Now, you can blame that on personnel. You can blame it on John, which I know a lot of people are. It was John's fault. It was John's fault. Why? Because John's not here anymore. But they've changed offensive coordinators. They changed offensive line coach. They changed the GM. Who's next in line if this thing doesn't get right? The head coach.
Yep.
And listen, I'm not advocating for Mike to be fired. I'm not. I think Mike's a good coach. But I've seen a lot of good coaches get fired in this league. Why? Because they can't eventually, the owner or the GM sees, well, you can only take us so far. And I think that's why I said this offseason for the Tennessee Titans is critical, because now he can't blame any, not to say that Mike was blaming anyone, but he can't say, well, it was the offensive coordinator, let's fire the offensive coordinator. Everybody's gone now.
Right.
So now the spotlight is on you as a head coach. If you can't get this thing right, then we may have to go in another direction. Again, not to say that Mike is a bad coach, because he's not. He's a good coach. But even good coaches get released.
So I think it's an interesting point, because what's the goal of every team is to win the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Okay. But guess what? There's one a year that can do that. So the main goal is to be in the conversation every year, to be in contention, to win division titles, to make the playoffs, to go on playoff runs. That's the goal of every team. And this team was doing that, but now they've missed it. She didn't like the roster. That was kind of I think everybody looked at it that way, that was an indictment on John, so you make that change. But now it's maximizing the value of the team, because they're going to build a new stadium. They want to be in prime position to be a good football team when that new stadium opens, to pack it and to make it, everybody go, oh, yeah, I'm glad they did it. Look at this. The Titans are Super Bowl contenders once again. Maybe they'll host a Super Bowl and be in it. There's stuff like that. But I think that's the ultimate goal is to be consistently at that point. And so if he's not doing it, even though it's not all on him, then you're right. I think because they got a window now. The window isn't the win the championship window. It's the, hey, we need to look good for the stadium, and getting that done. And I'm also going to say this. We haven't talked about it much because they've had a lot of success. I wouldn't rule out the fact that maybe one day she might say it's for sale without saying it's for sale. I'm just saying.
Well, not until I
because the values are going to go up. The values can only go up
if indeed she does go that direction, which it seemed like she enjoys.
I think
being
so.
the owner.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying. Well, number one, my dad taught me a long time ago. He said, Chase, everything is for sale.
Oh, of course.
It's always for sale.
Absolutely. If somebody willing to pay the money.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what I mean. But the value is only going to go up because you're going to get a new building and Nashville is continuing to grow. So, I mean, there could be a day where she gets an offer where she goes, well, I can't say no to that.
Yeah, you may be right about that. I wouldn't put it past it. But, I just need to, with Mike, because now to me you can't unless whoever you hire as new offensive coordinator comes in and he stinks up the joint, but then it points back to the guy that hired him. So this hire, I think that's why he's taking his time. And I've said this before. This hire is like, this is it. Like you need to hire
Gotta get this
the right guy. Because if you don't hire the right guy, then next year you and that guy will be gone.
I don't know if it's the next year, but you won't make it very far. You're not going to make it very far, even with the good feeling, the good foundation that I think he's built, like Vrabel. So this is a very important hire. So taking your time is one thing, and also I think playing the game of having to wait. You try to wait for people you think you might really want to talk to. I still don't even know the status. Like, we'll ask Soren in the next segment. But have the Chiefs said they're granting permission with the coordinators that have been rumored? With Nagy or with Bieniemy? Did we know that there's interest on the other side? I think the fact that you haven't heard anything means it's probably not dead, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that the Titans haven't gone in another direction and you're hearing they're interviewing 3, 4, 5 other people.
Right. I don't know.
I
think we'll find out. You're going to find out in 5 minutes.
Well, we'll ask. We'll get the. I mean, maybe it's not even on their mind. I'm sure they're trying to win a Super Bowl. But
right.
But I'm sure Soren he knows what's going on with that team. He'll have some feelings in a feel for why Bieniemy has not become a head coach. What's going on with Nagy? This will be some good insight here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up next, Soren Petro, 810 WHB in Kansas City, is going to join these guys. I'm going to step away. It's been fun. 2 gigs in a row, I think we're good. We got asked back, so it was fun. We'll put the band back together again sometime.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's Caroline, Willie, D-Mace, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch The Game.
Haskins again doesn't get it. Jaguars have won the AFC South.
We talk The Game.
The offensive side of the football for the Titans, who should be back next season.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Coration CBD products. Coration began as our family's mission to provide the Nashville community with locally and organically sourced CBD products. We are passionate about providing high-quality CBD products for everyday use. Tinctures, topicals, and pet products too. We are a Pick 10 company. Our hemp is organically grown and produced in Nashville, Tennessee from sustainably sourced non-GMO genetics. All of our products are lab tested. Find all of our products at CorationCompany.com.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota LO1 series is part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability. They feature powerful Kubota diesel engines and easy operation. The durable Kubota LO1 series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz. Your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators took down the New Jersey Devils 6-4 last night, handing them their third regulation loss on the road this season. Nashville currently sits 1 point outside of a playoff wildcard spot going into the All-Star break. And Preds forward Matt Duchene addressed how the Preds were feeling before winning their last 3 games.
You know, that St. Louis game looks like a blessing in disguise now because we were tired, we weren't feeling it mentally, and came out laid an egg, and you know, it kind of brought some things to the surface that probably had gone unnoticed, and we had won some games that maybe we shouldn't have.
And it's conference championship weekend in the NFL. The AFC features Joe Burrow and the Bengals going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then over in the NFC, it's Brock Purdy and the 49ers versus Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Super Bowl is slated for February 12th. And Ian Rappaport reports this morning that the Los Angeles Rams have hired Mike LaFleur as their next offensive coordinator after the last 2 years with the New York Jets. I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado.
Welcome in to the noon hour here on Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace. Caroline is off today. She'll be back with us on Monday. Willie Donick and Derek Mason here with you. We'll talk some Preds during the 1 o'clock hour. A enormous win last night for them to finish off their pre-All-Star break schedule with 3 straight dramatic home victories. We'll talk about that in the next hour. But in the meantime, as we promised you earlier, we're going to get the lay of the land in Kansas City with our good friend Soren Petro from 810, who knows that team backwards and forwards. We want to get the scoop on what's going to happen in the AFC Championship game, but also some things brewing with the offensive coordinator position for the Titans. Are there a couple of guys on that staff that might be a good fit? We'll see. Soren, great to talk to you again. Thanks for joining us today.
It's always my pleasure. I love Nashville as a city. It's always great to visit there. And a quick shout-out to my buddy Shane Horsley, one of my friends who moved from here down to Nashville. He's a big fan of you guys and listens all the time. Finest beer league softball center fielder known to man.
Wow. Is he a free agent? I'm sure there's some people listening going, hey, we need a center fielder.
You got to look it up. Now he glides around like Andrew Jones in center field and does it while running with a 20-ounce beer.
That's what any team is looking for, a guy like that. That's who you want on your team. Well, Soren, first of all, I know it's probably a 24-hour round-the-clock question here, but you know your level of optimism that Patrick Mahomes will be able to function okay with the high ankle sprain. We watched the whole season here with Ryan Tannehill trying to deal with something very similar.
Yeah, and it's listen, it is what everyone's talking about. You know, I was at the press conferences yesterday and the day before, and Todd Lebo, who works with me and covers the team, is literally sitting there holding his phone ready to record when the door opens up and Patrick Mahomes walks in, right? We have to get every step on video, and I thought it was interesting. Mahomes comes in, turns, and made a point to skip a step going up onto the little platform that has the podium there inside the stadium. So he was clearly he knows he's on display, and he's trying to give every indication that he's fine. When they shoot the video you're seeing is just at the very beginning of practice where they stretch and warm up and then a couple of warm-up drills. That's all they let you shoot, and none of it does he ever have to change direction. He looks pretty good. Both ankles are taped up. But the real question is going to be, can he move laterally when he's in the pocket and he gets pressure? And we're not going to know that till Sunday. My expectation is no, he won't be able to. And so we're going to see a very limited Patrick Mahomes, one that's going to have to live from the pocket, which he's very good at, but it means, Andy Reid might have to keep some people home to help protect because he's not going to be able to just run away from them the way he normally does.
It's funny. I mean, that is an exact same thing that we were saying all week about Tannehill. They did show him with some video where he was throwing passes. He looked like he wasn't limping. He was walking to the podium, and then he missed the next two games. I mean, missed them entirely. Of course, including the one at Arrowhead Stadium that you remember very well, Sunday night game, which was a great game. So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I will say this: if this were Week 6 and the Chiefs were 5-1 or 4-2, I don't think there's any way he'd be playing this weekend.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that you got to try in a game of this caliber. So, what about that injury aside? The matchup with Cincinnati, it's well told. Cincinnati has been able to find ways to beat Kansas City, one of the few teams that's had that kind of success against this team. What about the matchup?
I think it's clear. The first thing, to solving a problem is admitting you have a problem. And I think even going into that third game, there was no admission that there's a problem. Now, let's be clear. They haven't lost 40-10, 37-6. I mean, all three games have been field goal games. The Chiefs have led in all of them, really led after three quarters in all of them. So there's a lot of reason to believe that, maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe it's just timing. The music stopped at the wrong time when the Chiefs weren't in front of a chair. This time it'll stop at a different time, and they'll be fine. But I think you'd be fooling yourself if you didn't really examine what's gone wrong. And I think the Chiefs will. Andy Reid's a great football coach, and they'll turn over every stone to be better. With a lot of swagger, and they come in confident, ready to play. They're not beat when they run out on the field. They don't melt when they see Patrick Mahomes run out there. And so I think that's one of the things. I give great credit to Zach Taylor for creating a new culture in Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow, I think, is a big part of that as well. So I think that's the first thing. Defensively, they flood the backfield with plenty of DBs, plenty of coverage. They rush 4 or 3. They almost never blitz. 3 with a spy and make sure that Patrick Mahomes can't beat him with his legs. They do that as effectively as anyone. And I think there was a bit of a wake-up call even coming down the stretch run for the Chiefs. And I think they tweaked the offense when they lost Tyreek Hill. They knew how teams were playing them. They've been playing them this way for really a couple of years, but they didn't fully embrace all the things. And maybe Mahomes didn't fully embrace all the things he needs to do to be effective. And when you see Jerick McKinnon get 8 touchdown catches, 9 for the season, and tie the NFL record for touchdown catches by a running back, but 8 in the last 6 games, it just shows how they embraced checking it down, using the running backs. And so I think they are better equipped offensively to handle their defense, but I expect more of the same, maybe with a few blitzes because Mahomes should be more of a stationary target. But for the most part, they drop as many people as they can and try to frustrate Patrick Mahomes.
Now, Seren, with that being said, and obviously the injury plays a big factor, do you think they are preparing potentially to have Chad Henne come in the game? He came in sparingly last game, did a pretty good job. But, knowing that they can win with a Chad Henne, do you think that they, throughout practice, are putting in packages just in case?
Yeah, I mean, and listen, Henne's not as mobile as Mahomes, so maybe the packages are the same now, right? Because Mahomes is more Henne-esque, so whatever Andy Reid's dialing up, which should be effective for either one of the quarterbacks. Henne came in and led a 98-yard drive. It's the longest postseason drive in Kansas City Chiefs history. I mean, it was a big moment for that team. You're wondering where your star's going, your leader's going. And here comes the backup, and he calms everything down. And the drive took so long, Mahomes had time to go in, get x-rayed, come out, and then cheer the last 30 or 40 yards of the drive and celebrate at the end. And so, he did that 2 years ago when Mahomes went down with a concussion against the Browns in the divisional round and steadied the ship, completed a big 4th and 1 to Tyreek Hill to seal the deal and close it out and get to the victory formation. So he's made those type of plays before. I think there's a lot of confidence in him doing that. Could you win a game with him? if he has to play early, if Mahomes would get hurt, I think he can. He got hurt actually in 2019, their Super Bowl championship season along the way, and wasn't available when Mahomes dislocated his kneecap. So Matt Moore, the third quarterback, came in, almost beat the Packers, a very good Packer team, and then did beat a playoff-bound Minnesota Viking team that year. So Andy Reid's pretty good with the backup. I wouldn't want to see him have to do it for 2 games, like win this one and then play again in the Super Bowl with Chad Henne. I don't think there's a Jeff Hostetler story waiting to be written around Chad Henne. But if they need to drive a series, a half, or maybe even a game, there is a path to victory still with Chad Henne on the field.
Now, how big was the acquisition of Juju Smith-Schuster? Because you lose Tyreek Hill, and I'm not saying he's anything close to Tyreek Hill, even though Juju had his years where he was highly productive. Mecole Hardman is in and out of the lineup, but the one guy that has been consistent, not only Kelsey, but Juju, how big of an acquisition was that for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'd stop just short of saying critical, just because, he's been down this year and they've played well and won. But it was really important. I mean, they need the guy to kind of be the opposite to Travis Kelce, to be the intermediate guy like Travis Kelce is. And that's Andy Reid talked about that 4 or 5 weeks ago, about how important he's been for them to really kind of be able to spread the field and have somebody for everywhere. He's a bigger wide receiver. He's physical after the catch. He runs through arm tackles. And that's something they obviously have to do. Teams are playing them to take away over the top. They still had, when he was healthy, Mecole Hardman, a guy who was almost as fast as Tyreek Hill. They signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling as well, who was the only guy who actually clocked a faster speed on the field than Tyreek Hill last year. So they still had guys that could take the top off, but it was clear that they had to get better at the intermediate stuff. They had to get better at the short stuff, which means catch and run. And Juju does that very well. So he's been a very important part of the equation. When they went to replace Tyreek Hill, they knew they weren't going to find one guy to do it. Juju was part of that equation. Valdez-Scantling was part of that equation. They worked on trading for Kadarius Toney in the offseason. Didn't get it done, but at the trade deadline brought him in as well. All those pieces were pieces that they thought that they could diversify and make up for everything Tyreek Hill took with him. Not exactly the way he does it, but make up that production and do it. And that may sound after the fact, but Patrick Mahomes said, I think the last week of training camp, he was asked about, if somebody brought fantasy football or something, he said, I'm afraid you fantasy football guys are going to be disappointed because it ain't going to be one guy. We're going to spread the ball all around. 1 week it's going to be this guy. 1 week it's going to be this guy. 1 week it's going to be that guy. Well, Juju was definitely president of the club. He was the best one of the bunch to have. But all the guys have had big days, and credit Patrick Mahomes for being able to spread the ball around.
Now, another guy that I've come to enjoy playing is Isaiah Pacheco. He's a physical, tough runner. He almost reminds you when he gets the ball, because of the number 10, he looks like Tyreek Hill just a tad bit because he runs so physical when he gets the ball in his hands. Do you see them leaning on – can Andy Reid lean on him knowing that Patrick Mahomes is hobbled?
Yeah, and he's a great story because his senior year at Rutgers, he averaged like 3.5 yards a carry. That's why he lasted to the 7th round, even though he runs a 4.35 40, right? You see that speed and that burst, and then he runs physical as well, and he's given a physical side to the Chiefs that was really lacking. They've got some physical offensive linemen. Creed Humphrey at center, Trey Smith at right guard are very physical players, and he delivers a punch, and he gets guys fired up by running through some arm tackles and being physical. And really early on, he had almost no vision. It was like run till you hit something was almost his style. He's gotten better at being more patient. Credit Eric Bieniemy on really working with him on that. And he is something that's really important. And they need that physical style. And yes, he got 12 carries for 95 yards. I would expect a few more carries. If that doesn't play out, the problem is he's not as good catching the ball. He's not very good at all at blocking. And they've got a guy in Jerick McKinnon who's the old man of the running back locker room, but is, I think, the best blocking running back in the NFL. He handles twists and splits and hands off, linebackers to the guard and picks up the defensive end and stands in there, delivers a punch on linebackers when they come on the blitz. And I think that might be an important part of the equation. Andy, for the first time, has really kind of gone to, hey, Jerick, you're the third down back. Isaiah, you're first and second. Usually he likes a guy to just be in there and be the guy and do everything. He's done a great job of maximizing both their strengths. So I think there will be a piece of the game plan for both those guys. But to your point about Pacheco, yes, if he's held in check for less than 20 yards, it's going to be a long day for the Chiefs.
We're talking to Soren Petro from 810 over in Kansas City. You brought up Eric Bieniemy. Soren, it's probably the last thing on most Chiefs' minds right now. But here, the last we heard was Tennessee had asked for permission to talk to both Matt Nagy and Eric Bieniemy for the opening here for offensive coordinator. What were your thoughts when you saw that? And is there any indication that they're going to grant permission, or do we just have to wait and see how this plays out on the field first?
I think they will grant permission. I think Andy Reid, does a good job of, he's got a great coaching tree. Obviously, they didn't sneak out of town. They get their interviews. And I think, reality has set in that Eric Bieniemy is not going to be hired as a head coach. And that's disappointing because his resume certainly says he should be a head coach. But it's disappointing because I like the guy. It's disappointing because I think he's a good football coach and a good guy. But I think there are some things that are lacking in his game as a coach, right? He was terrible at the podium when he first got the offensive coordinator's job. He's gotten better. He's gotten more polished. He's still not the best. So if he does a poor job against what is a small, and let's be honest, pretty peaceful Kansas City media, do you think he's going to be dynamic when he's interviewing in front of a billionaire owner? I don't think so. Tony Dungy had that knock, that he didn't interview well. I've heard that about Eric Bieniemy. There's also the fact that I know Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson overcame these things to get head coaching jobs, but it is still a knock that he doesn't really call the plays. Andy Reid does. And I think that's things that those guys overcame, but probably overcame by being better interviewers. And I think there's just a little, and there's some background and history that, some off the field things from his days at Colorado that I think surface and have some, a reason to pause for concern. You're like, well, if we have this, and I'm not really blown away by the interview, and he hasn't called plays, you could see where he would keep finishing second or third. Now, he was offered by people I was told the Saints offensive coordinator job last year after he lost out for the head coaching job, and he didn't take it. But I've said before, look, Marvin Lewis was incredible as the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, but people forget his last job before becoming the head coach of the Bengals was defensive coordinator for the football team in Washington. He left and 1 year turned around Washington, proved that it wasn't just a great coaching staff and everything going on at Baltimore, and that's what got him the Bengal job. And I've been screaming for Eric Bieniemy to do that. If they're not giving you the head coaching job, go kick down some of those doors that they say you can't do and prove it someplace else. And I think if he's going to interview that way for that coordinator job, it proves that he's open to that and is willing to maybe take a different path to becoming a head coach, because the shadow of Andy Reid is certainly not working for him right now.
Any sense, if you had to guess, who would be the more likely offensive coordinator candidate, Nagy or Bieniemy for the Titans? Who would it be in your mind?
I would say it would be, if it comes down to it's just a two-horse race, I would say it's Eric Bieniemy because I don't think Matt Nagy's going to leave. Matt Nagy's college teammate at Delaware was Brett Veach, the general manager. Andy Reid is 61, 62 years old. I think he's going to coach as long as he can physically do it. But Matt Nagy went to Chicago, came back. He liked Kansas City. He likes Kansas City again. He's got a young family. I don't know that he wants to be the stop, go from town to town, which is part of the deal as a coach. But if you can wait your turn, have success, and you get the offensive coordinator job in Kansas City, and your college teammate is the general manager, you look like the coach in waiting for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think for the reasons I said about Eric Bieniemy, I think the best thing for Eric Bieniemy's career, if he wants to be a head coach, is to take the job. So I think Nagy will be harder to pull away, even though he's only the quarterback coach here in Kansas City. And Eric Bieniemy should be wanting to improve that resume and polish it off. So from a standpoint of who would be more likely to take the job, I think it's very much Eric Bieniemy. But, I'm not on the inner workings. That's just my read. I mean, I know some people. I have conversations connecting all the dots that I've been given. That's the way I would think that this shapes up. Now, if they don't want Eric Bieniemy and they come with an over-the-top offer and Mike Vrabel says the entire offense is yours, that might be a job that, that might be an offer that's, one that he can't, Matt Nagy can't, turn down. But, all things being equal, I would lean towards Eric Bieniemy. But, again, certainly not on the inside down in Nashville.
Soren, excellent insight as always. Enjoy another big playoff game at Arrowhead. We can't wait to watch on Sunday.
We're looking forward to it as well. Thanks for having me, guys. Make sure you get Shane on your softball team.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of softball coaches taking note for sure. Soren Petro from KC, 8:10 a.m., excellent sports talk show host over there. We've had him on so many times. Stay tuned. When we come back, we will sort of process this. And then remember, Ask D-Mace is coming up at 12:30. So get your texts and calls ready for him. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Man, it is Friday, so I need you to really listen going into the weekend. And I need to tell you about this. It's Cool Springs MD. I've told you throughout the week, but you really need to pay attention on a Friday going into the weekend. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife, Daphne, along with that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So, listen, there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Men, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit their website at coolspringsmd.com.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try some of our new menu items like the Nashville Hot Fish and Chips, Nathan's Hot Dog Burn Ends, or the Nashville Chicken Jam Band. Go Preds.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
When that door closed behind me and I was free, the main thing I wanted to do was just re-enter society, get a job, and see my family.
It's okay.
There's a new state office of re-entry in Tennessee, specifically to help folks like me get jobs. Go to tnworkready.com or visit your local American Job Center. Re-entry is a normal thing, and it's okay.
Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
tnworkready.com.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willie, and D Mace.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 1025 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Coming up at 12:30, it will be Ask D-Mace, brought to you by Coration CBD. Find their healing products at CorationCompany.com. Coration CBD products, curated for life. Now, that's coming up at 12:30, so get your questions ready. But D-Mace, that was very good stuff from Soren Petro. Made me think a little bit, especially on the offensive coordinator situation. So, what did you take out of that regarding Bieniemy? That was interesting perspective on Bieniemy, who's been there for so long. And this is something you've heard in the past about certain guys as to why they don't end up moving up the ladder when it seems from afar that it should have happened by now. Not quite as good, polished in interview settings, maybe not great with the press. I don't know. I mean, we've heard this before about different guys.
Yeah.
So what do you take out of that regarding Bieniemy specifically?
I mean, we've heard it about. That's the knock on Bieniemy. Not that he can't coach. I mean, the other knock is, how much say does he have in this Andy Reid's offense?
Yeah, those two things together, not great with the media, not great in interviews, and he doesn't call the plays. We've heard that rap. And
but Soren said, that was the rap, on Nagy. Can he, but Nagy was able to go somewhere else, and was he a good head coach? Probably not, but he was a good play caller. So eventually you get over that hump, and then hopefully there's no more other hurdles you got to get over. But it seems like with Eric Bieniemy, not only do he has to get over that hump of, or that hurdle of, are you really calling the plays, or is it really Andy Reid? But he also have to get over the hurdle of you not being a good interviewer. So how do you get over that? I mean, there's always several different ways you can do a particular thing to try to better yourself, whether it be, and you and I talked about this, Willie, off air, whether it be some guys, as you mentioned, get better as the more times they do it, the better they become.
Yes, you hopefully grow out of some of that as you get older, you get more wisdom.
Exactly,
right, how to do this stuff.
And I know a lot of it has to do with nerves and and whatnot. It's different from, I know people were probably saying, well, he stands up in front of his team and he's able. Yeah, well, it's different standing up in front of your team and addressing them. Those are the men that you see every day that you build. You're building intimate relationship with them every day, knowing their families, everything else. It's another thing with the owner where you barely see this owner. So you going in for an interview is nothing like standing up in front of the room and talking to 53 men that you've been around, basically every day for a 6 or 7 month period. So one of the ways you can sort of get over that is you do it more. But it seems like Airbnb has done it, multiple times, and that's still a knock on them. Or you go and you take, you get a specialist to come in and sort of walk you through the process of how you interview, what you say, how you come in, being calm, being patient, having your thoughts in order, or whatnot. So it's going to be hard, it seems like, for him to get a coaching job as long as he stays in Kansas City. I think if he ventures outside of Kansas City, and Soren said it, like, listen, get out of Kansas City first. Go be a coordinator
and
somewhere
Soren
else.
Petro from
if
the
you
810
can elevate that offense and get that offense as one of the best offenses in the National Football League.
And Soren Petro from 810 WBH in Kansas City weighed in on Patrick Mahomes' situation and the status of his ankle.
The excuse no more isn't, oh, it was Andy Reid. Now it's, okay, he did this
out of that
Andy
shadow.
Exactly.
He did, so that makes a lot of sense. And so it would seem.
And Soren Petro joined Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace this afternoon and addressed Patrick Mahomes and the status of his
we have to wait.
ankle
He's got a job to do this weekend.
Sunday
he might,
the Bengals.
if they win, he's going to coach the Super Bowl. So you got to be waiting weeks if that's the guy that you really want. So I'm curious where that goes. If it stays sort of all quiet on this job and they're not interviewing anybody else, it does make you think that whether it's Kansas City or a couple other teams that are still playing here, they kind of want to talk to some of these guys. But they have to wait until the season's over, right?
Yeah, they're going to have to wait. Now, listen, you have that sort of – it's not a break, but it is a break in between the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. It's 2 weeks, so that first week is usually, teams, they're practicing, but everything is so scaled back, getting guys back, getting injury, getting the logistics as far as, when we travel, your tickets and family and all this other stuff. So that first week is sort of scaled down just a tad bit. So that gives you a little bit leeway. If you do want to interview with another team, you can. Not to say that he would do it, but that does give you an opportunity. But if you don't take that opportunity and then subsequently after the Super Bowl, that's when everything pretty much opens up.
So next week we would think is probably a very important week with this. We probably start hearing things next week.
We should in regards to both Nagy and Eric Bieniemy, because honestly,
and maybe other candidates for the Titans too. If there's other people on these other teams, like you said, there's even whoever wins these 2 games. Like you said, there should be a window in there on the off week that if you wanted to talk to them, that's the time to do it.
Exactly, and I would think that because, again, we discussed Tim Kelly, and his name doesn't seem like it's circling or swirling in any of these OC jobs around the NFL at this point. It would seem, unless somebody else comes out of the shadows, it seems like Nagy or Bieniemy would more than likely be their first choice if they can get one or the other to come here to coach this offense, because whether they're calling plays full time for Kansas City or they're calling plays 40% of the time, that offense is still good.
It sure is. Now on that, we break and get ready for Ask D-Mace. So make sure you get your calls and texts in. Let's have some fun. It's Friday. You can ask about the championship games coming up. You can ask about the Titans. But we like when you mix it up as well. We can talk movies. We can talk music. We can talk life. D-Mace is a good life coach.
Yeah, life coach, people.
We can talk about travel. We can talk about juice. We can talk about pizza toppings. All these things have come up before on Ask D-Mace. So that's what we like to have fun with. 615-737-1025. Ask D-Mace is coming up next.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He wrists one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game. Right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hey, it's Joe Rexler for FanDuel. Let you know, folks, the NFL Conference Championships are this Sunday, and you can enjoy more thrills in a 2-minute drill on FanDuel. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account, because we're giving all customers a no-sweat same-game parlay. This means you'll get free bets back if your conference championship same-game parlay does not hit. You can bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to which player will score a touchdown. If I was looking at this weekend, if I'm looking at Bengals, Chiefs. Look, I like the Bengals with Mahomes hurt. I like Joe Mixon anytime touchdown, and I would go under. That would be my parlay on that game. Do whatever you want. If you can't decide, you can ride with thousands of other fans of popular same-game parlays already made for you. If you're new to FanDuel, Sign up with promo code Joe102 to see for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. And if you already have FanDuel, you can start building your no-sweat same-game parlay today. Make everyone more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner in the NFL. Must be 21 or older in present Tennessee. 3+ legs, minimum dollar bet required. Refund issued is now withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D Mace.
We'll welcome you in.
Now on Caroline, Willie, and
D Mace.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for Ask D-Mace, brought to you by Coration CBD. Find their healing products at CorationCompany.com. Use promo code D-MACE, M-A-S-E. Not to be confused with how C-Mace has his handle on the hockey front. It says D-M-A-S-E at CorationCompany.com for 25% off Coration CBD products. All right, 615-737-1025. Ask D-Mace anything. First of all, thank you for the shout-out from JD in Brentwood on the segment with Seren. He really likes Seren. He's originally from KC. Loved the conversation we had with him. All right, here's the leadoff one from Randy. D-Mace, with a losing record and a new GM, that makes the Titans eligible for Hard Knocks. Any chance the Titans get picked, and how would Mike Vrabel handle that?
Wow, I don't see Vrabel as a Hard Knocks guy, but you know, it's one of those deals where you got a new GM. I can see it more so, right before the new stadium opens. Like the season that the new stadium opens, I can see a hard knock then for the Tennessee Titans. I think it would be more attractive for the NFL, ushering a new team into their stadium and then having the hard knocks. Having the hard knocks as they're moving into their new stadium. This year, I don't know if Braves will be on board with the hard knocks. Man, they got too much going on inside those walls.
Kyle texts in and says, what's the biggest adversity you ever had to deal with in sports or life? How did you overcome it? And what do you recommend to someone going through some stuff of their own?
Sports adversity, I mean, listen, sports adversity for me, it doesn't compare to, life adversity. And I've said this before with my adversity on the field. It's that first 3 years being here, not knowing where you fit on the team, always rumored about being traded, knowing that you can play this game but not getting, the opportunity that you feel you deserve, putting in the work but not seeing any fruit from the labor. So that was tough because there were many times where, personally for me, go home and, anxious and nervous and stressed and crying in the shower and, Marcy at the time telling me everything was going to be okay. And subsequent, obviously everything was okay. But, but when you're a 23-year-old young man, you're starting a family, all these things come into play. So from a professional standpoint, that was probably the hardest for me. Personally, losing my sister at an early age, and she was 27 when she passed away, then losing my mom 7 years later. And I lost my dad 7 years after that, but I had already, I've done playing and whatnot, but still those three, losses was huge for me. And then also going through a divorce. That stuff, it weighs on you. And I had to find a way to navigate myself through that. And I had and still do have a lot of good people on my side. Even Marcy, she's still a good friend to me. So, those were hard times for me as far as personally. My professional, whatever, it doesn't compare to what I had to go through personally.
Interesting to hear you talk from both sides, the professional side and the personal side. Henry says, as we go from something a little heavier, swinging back to something a little lighter, I'm pretty sure that Derek's old enough to remember this whole debate, so can he settle it? Tastes great or less filling?
I am
remember all those commercials with John Madden and those guys? Bubba Smith?
Yeah, but tastes great, less filling. I mean, whichever side of the ledger you fall on, it can taste great. It can be less filling as well.
There was a lot of fights in the commercials over this.
Exactly. But I would rather lean more toward the side that tastes great.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. It's got to be about the taste, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess once you get a little bit older, the taste is great, but you don't want it all,
Yeah.
Pack on a couple pounds.
Yeah, when you're in college, you're not worried about filling that much. It's a little more about the taste. You do have to consider both as you get older.
Exactly.
Let's see. What was the craziest halftime, college or pro, that you experienced during your playing days? You could take that any number of directions here. Like when you were sitting in the locker room or maybe a halftime show. I don't know. Where do you go with that?
We've had some fiery speeches during halftime. I think the one that for me, it was the Super Bowl because I had never experienced being in a locker room for that long. It seems like you're in the locker room for hours because the halftime show is so long. And usually we're in the locker room 15 minutes. We're out. We're warming up on the field. But during the Super Bowl, you're in the locker room for like 30, 35 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer. And then you got to sort of try to find things or do things to keep your body warm.
615-737-1025. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ben is on the line. Ben, what do you got for D-Mace?
How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
So my question is, what Nashville team, as far as professionals, so the Titans, Predators, or even the soccer team here, will win a championship first?
Wow.
Or soon?
Soon. Wow, man. That's, I think, each team sort of has their own. I don't follow hockey, not hockey. I don't follow soccer that much. But I know they had a really good team this past season.
And they're so young. They've only been in the league for, three seasons?
Yeah.
Two full seasons as they transitioned from – but they've done very well.
Yeah, they've gotten better.
Yeah, they look like they have a very good ownership group, good, solid foundation. So they got a shot for sure.
So they have a shot. The Titans have a shot. Preds do as well. I think the Titans and the Preds are sort of on the same – trajectory in regards to where their team is at now, where they have the potential to go, maybe a piece here, a piece there. I think it's a little bit easier for the Titans because of the whole salary cap issue that hockey has a hard salary cap. Football salary cap, it's there, but it's not as hard. If I sign a guy to a 4 or 5 year deal, if he's not playing well after 3 years, I can cut him if the dead money is not large. Well, in hockey, it's not that way. You got him unless you can make a trade with someone else to get rid of that player. So it makes it a little bit hard, I think, and Willie, you can correct me on this. It makes it a little bit hard to sort of win it in that sport than it is in football, because football, we can make a lot of changes in the offseason, considering the salary cap and everything else, free agency, and we can put together a team and we can go. Well, in hockey, if it doesn't work one year, you can't just all of a sudden just change a bunch of guys.
It's a little tougher, especially right here while we speak, because the salary cap is a little stagnant right now. I think in the coming years, when they add to the cap, it might be a little bit easier to move and shift. So it's a really good question. It's a question that's been asked before, and we're so hungry here. We've now been a pro market. Like when you came to this market, we were we were just starting as a quote major league market, and here we are like a generation later, and nobody's broken through. The Titans have been to the Super Bowl. The Predators have been to the Stanley Cup Final. The MLS team has just started, but they've been to the playoffs each year. There's expectations there. So who's going to break through first and bring the city the championship?
I'm gonna play a
talking about major league here.
I'm gonna play a politician here, and I'm saying I hope all three of them win it the same year. Okay?
Oh yes, that would be amazing. City of champions, like
exactly.
Pittsburgh back in the day. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, round 2 of Ask D-Mace. We're having some great questions already. They're lined up. 615-737-1025. Call or text on our phone/text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's trivia time. You think you're pretty smart? Well, come on out Wednesday, February 1st to Boom Ba's East and test your trivia skills. Featuring Willie Donick as Trivia Master, all proceeds support STARS and the hope, health, and connection of young people in our community. Register your team of no more than 4 and let the competition begin. Go to starsnashville.org to officially sign up. That's starsnashville.org. See you February 1st at Boom Ba's East.
Hey, time to tell you about Lee Company. The Nashville Predators with a clutch performance last night against the top road team in the NHL. Going into last night, the New Jersey Devils, a 6-4 win. So a great place to go into the All-Star break with some momentum. Nashville has moved up the standings here, and the second half is going to be very, very exciting on the other side. And Lee Company will be with the Predators in their coverage here on 102.5 The Game the entire way. Plus, you'll see their display all around Smashville, and that's going to be the place to be to see what happens down the stretch. Meanwhile, Lee Company is ready to serve you. It's a little bit warmer today, and it's a good reminder. As some of those spring sports start to get outside a little bit more, start tuning up for the spring season, it's time to tune up your air conditioning unit. If you haven't had it checked since last year, put it on the docket. Get it checked now. Get ahead of the game so that you know that when the summer starts hitting and we start hitting 90, 95 every day, as you know it's going to get in the summer, that your air conditioning unit is working efficiently. They got the service for you at Lee Company, 615-567-1000 or leecompany.com. That's 615-567-1000 or leecompany.com. Go online and look at all the great services that Lee Company offers. Lee Company, let their decades of expertise go to work for you.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and in the past, hair loss was inevitable. But now, you have a choice for thicker, fuller hair. Trust the experts with 45 years of experience at Hair Club. They've helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair again. No matter your age, stage of hair loss, or budget, Hair Club can customize a solution for you. And for a limited time, you can get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Sometimes he gets lonely and needs some company.
10 for 17 for 45 yards in his career with 1 interception.
This is one of those years where it's a step back for them.
And that'll create more one-on-one situations and make it easier for him to throw the ball down the field.
It's Stillman and Company.
You've got real talent.
With Jared Stillman. Weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If you were to ask D-Mace what is his favorite movie, this might be considered as the answer. Grease.
Oh, it is the answer, Willie.
Number one.
Number one. That's my favorite movie, man.
Nice. I don't know
Grease
if it's
is
my
it.
number one. I appreciate Grease, no question. And as we've said, we all agree.
Grease 2?
No. Grease 2 is a no. Grease 2 is no.
Definitely
Just stick with
a no.
Grease. Don't worry about Grease 2. But we all recommend Grease.
Yes, we do.
All right, back to Ask D-Mace. Bring it on. And by the way, we should say this. The best answer, the prize this week is tickets to see Nickelback. I love, the other day I saw a TikTok. Somebody sent it to me. It was Nickelback making fun of themselves on TikTok. It was quite a good laugh. Somebody was trying to do one of those funky dances, and they just broke into one of their songs. Like, we don't get it. We're just going to stick with our stuff. They're coming, Nick, when? August
1st.
August 1st.
Before tickets go on sale today. So
Nice.
you can get these tickets now before you even have to go buy them.
Ooh, extra incentive to jump in and ask
Absolutely.
D-Mace. 615-737-1025. So, the next one. Derek, you are stranded on an island. What 3 items are you bringing with you?
Who asked that question?
No
name?
Unnamed texter.
Gosh, unnamed.
Such a bummer when they don't put your name on there.
All right. If I would somehow, some way have a solar-powered cell phone because it's always going to be sun. So
on a desert island, you would think. You're going to get some
solar-powered
heat. Yeah.
sun. Yeah, so I can use the cell phone to get rescued.
And then you're not there very long. It's problem solved. You don't need anything else.
Some type of mechanism or some type of machine that can generate water, like they can catch the water and generate it. I know there's
process
some,
it, get it ready.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to be drinking salt water.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
So I need to have that, and then a net. Get me a net because I got to catch. I'm on the island, right?
You're on an
I
island.
gotta catch fish.
You got to eat.
So give me a net.
Okay.
Give me a net.
Yeah. All right.
I don't want a knife. I don't want a spear. Give me a net.
And hopefully you have a good network, for the cell phone to
exactly.
Some
I don't plan on being there long.
I thought you might go with flare gun. Somebody,
but I only get one flare. I only get one flare. So I'd rather have that solar powered cell phone.
All right, let's go to Doug. He's on line 1. Doug, what do you got for D-Mace?
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Mason. I know that you've had 15 years in the league and going to be Hall of Famer. And, oh, by the way, you need to have something to make fire. Just
yeah, you're right. There. But I can do that. I can just rub
okay. Well, you've had your 15 years in the league. Now, if you get your 15 minutes of fame on the big screen, what are you going to be? NCIS guy, Magnum PI, action hero, good guy, bad guy, dancer. When you get on the big screen, what are you going to be?
Man,
what character would you play?
Character?
All right, what type of character?
Man, it would have to almost, gosh, that would be tough. It would have to be a drama, but sort of a love drama.
Okay, yeah.
It has
you got to have a love interest.
Yeah, you got to have a love interest, but it has to be a drama because I want to be able to, figure some things out.
Okay.
It has to be a sort of
okay, so what's your occupation? Are you a cop or are you like
I'm
investigator?
I am
a fireman.
No. I am a FBI agent.
Doctor, lawyer.
FBI agent.
FBI agent.
Yeah,
Ooh, now we're talking.
FBI agent. Yes, FBI agent. Got my love interest. But it's a drama. I'm going out and I'm.
So it's not a comedy.
It's not a comedy.
Yeah, you're trying to solve a big,
I'm
trying big crime.
I want my true acting skills to come out.
Yes.
I want to win an award for my acting skills.
Okay. Now we're talking.
So we're talking drama, FBI. or maybe a doctor. Yeah.
Okay, now what city is it set? Is it set in Detroit, like where you're from?
No.
Is it like Axel Foley here, or is it California, like where, or Hawaii, like Magnum PI? Like where is this set?
It's set in New York.
NYC, okay.
NYC. Either New York or Chicago.
Okay. Big city.
Yeah, big city.
Big city.
Yeah.
A lot going on. Mm-hmm. A lot of places to hide.
But
you gotta dig in.
But I am traveling.
Yeah.
I am traveling.
Okay.
Well,
I think we got the makings of a good show.
Yeah, I think it'll be good too.
All right. Joey from Bellevue says, D-Mace, would you be open to opening up your own clean juice shop and show the community how a smoothie should be made?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What are we calling it?
D-Smooth.
Shut up! Keep your mouth shut!
D-Smooth. I can see the line is going out the door right now.
Wait, but Derek, you can't make them. Remember your one epiphany that you had with the clean juice was that the owner made it and got it wrong.
But I wouldn't make them. I would just hire some good people.
I know who your first hire would be, too. That person in the old spot that got it right.
Got it right every time. Okay. I would hire both of them to get the smoothies right, but it would be called D-Smooth.
What about, you could hire Chris Sanders.
Nah, definitely not. Nope. Nope. Chris wouldn't get it right. I know he wouldn't. He wouldn't get it right.
He wouldn't even be the greeter at the door.
I could make him the greeter. Yeah,
he'd be a good greeter.
Yeah, he'd be a great greeter.
I don't know if he could make a smoothie, but
one of your drinks could be go green, go white.
There we go.
Ooh,
see, Nick, you could be my marketing guy. Marketing
guy right here.
I like that, Nick.
He's the GOAT. The GOAT.
All right, let's get to Deborah. Deborah, welcome in. What do you got for D-Mace?
Oh my goodness. Why didn't we win the Super Bowl? Who made the call when we went to Super Bowl in '99? Wasn't it '99?
Yes.
Yes.
Because when I was watching it that night, I was like, no way. On the 2-yard line, no way. And I just wondered who made that call. Was it the offense coordinator or who?
Okay, we're talking about the last play.
Last play.
Deborah, good question.
Yeah, good question, Deborah. I blame it, and I've already told these people too. So it's not like I'm saying something new that I haven't told these people, and I say it sort of tongue-in-cheek. One, I blame Bishop because he got hurt in there trying to hit Ernie Mill. Was it Ernie?
Was it Torrey Holt?
No. It was the tight end.
Oh, the tight end.
Big Ernie. What was Ernie's last name? Not Ernie Mills. He's the linebacker. Gosh, I forget. But the big tight end. Blaine went in there, as Blaine usually do, trying to take somebody's head off, and he gets hurt. So now we're down our safety. And then I blame Javon Curse for being so darn good that he got around Fred Miller and he hit Kurt Warner's arm, which made the ball underthrown. And Torrey Holt was able to come back and get it. Well, Isaac Bruce was able to come back and get it and score a touchdown. That was a good play that was called. That Les Steckel called on that play. It was designed perfectly, I think. But, the Rams played a perfect defense. It was one of those deals where, hey, perfect call, perfect defense. Who was it? Was it Fletcher that made the tackle?
It was Mike
Jones.
Mike Jones. Yeah.
Mike Jones made the tackle.
I knew it was. I was thinking Davis.
He was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Dice made it. Steve, really good pass. Dice, really good catch. Mike Jones, even better tackle.
All right,
if Dyson was 6'5", then maybe he would have 6'6". Maybe he would have stretched it in, but he's only 6'2".
Outstanding question. We have some people that did not originally put their name next to the text, but we have them now. So we'll get our winner here in a moment for the Nickelback tickets. Last one, Keith from Bowling Green. Favorite Super Bowl halftime show?
Keith Bowling Green. For me, God, it either had to be Whitney or Prince. God, Whitney Prince. Just throw them up in the air, whichever one falls on the ground first.
So those are your two
are my
finalists.
Two finalists. I gotta go with Prince. It was a one-man show, and he killed it. He did his thing, as Prince always do.
Yeah.
He did his thing, but Whitney did her thing too. Can't nobody surpass Whitney when it comes to, but she didn't do the halftime show. She did the national anthem. My bad.
She did the national anthem. Yeah.
Yeah. Prince did the halftime show. So Prince.
Okay, so Prince is the answer. All right, some excellent stuff for Ask D Mace. We will crown the champion. Who gets the Nickelback tickets here in a moment. The final hour of the show is coming up next. Thanks for everybody joining us. We do this every Friday at 12:30, so we'll talk to you again in 1 week in this category. Stay tuned. We're coming back. We'll talk some Predators, and then we'll circle back and get the final analysis on the AFC and NFC championship games. That's coming up.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This week in Vanderbilt history, January 24th, 2012. The Commodore men's basketball team improves to 5-1 in SEC play with a 65-47 win over Tennessee at Memorial Gym. Coming off a 1-point overtime loss to Mississippi State to end an 8-game win streak, Vanderbilt quickly turned it back around, scoring the first 9 points of the game and using turnovers to jump in front 30-10 in the first half, and leading the old rival by as many as 27 later in the game. Jeffrey Taylor scored 15 of his 23 points in the opening 20 minutes, and SEC scoring leader John Jenkins had 16 on the night. Vandy held the Volunteers to their lowest point total of the season and improved to 15-5 on the year. Kevin Stallings' team would go on to win 25 games, including the SEC tournament title against top-ranked Kentucky in New Orleans, and make it to the second round of the NCAA tourney in Albuquerque. But in January 2012, it was an impressive win over Tennessee, 65-47, in an amped-up building on West End. This week in Vanderbilt history, I'm Kevin Ingram.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
For the love of Tennessee at dawn. For the love of the fight. For the love of having nowhere else you'd rather be. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators took down the New Jersey Devils 6-4 last night, handing them their third regulation loss on the road this season. Nashville currently sits 1 point outside of a playoff wildcard spot going into the All-Star break. And it's conference championship weekend in the NFL. The AFC features Joe Burrow and the Bengals going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then over in the NFC, it's Brock Purdy and the 49ers versus Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. And Sarim Petro joined Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace this afternoon and addressed Patrick Mahomes and the status of his ankle. Mahomes was a full participant in today's practice.
But you know, the real question is going to be, can he move laterally when he's in the pocket and he gets pressure? And we're not going to know that till Sunday. My expectation is no, he won't be able to. And so we're going to see a very limited Patrick Mahomes, one that's going to have to live from the pocket.
I'm Nick Keiser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
final hour, right here on Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace, 102.5 The Game. Coming up a little later this hour, we will break down once and for all our thoughts on the AFC and NFC championship games as we look forward to the weekend. Meanwhile, the Predators finishing strong before the All-Star break. They won 5 out of 6. The only loss was the dud in St. Louis, but was that a little bit of a silver lining? In fact, we're going to play you a clip that we played earlier on Chase's Show from Matt Duchene after the game. Matt Duchene had a strong third period in particular. Big goal, big assist, a driving force in the victory over the New Jersey Devils. And we're going to hear what he had to say about maybe sometimes it's a good thing to have a bad performance because all of a sudden it spurred on that meeting that seems to have flipped Nashville in the right direction.
Sometimes you don't know what's going on, and it's hard to. Everyone's kind of got their own version of maybe what's wrong, and I think we just got to the point of some things that we're a hair off with, and that St. Louis game looks like a blessing in disguise now because we were tired, we weren't feeling it mentally, and came out laid an egg, and it kind of brought some things to the surface that probably had gone unnoticed, and we had won some games that maybe we shouldn't have. So, it was good. It's been a turning point for us so far, but 3 games isn't the rest of the season.
So as he said, he knows that they've got to continue it on the other side. But D-Mace, it's interesting. We've heard this a lot when we're talking about any team. Forget about what sport we're talking about, but a locker room that says, the old adage, it's easier to correct things sometimes after a loss than it is after some wins. And I'll give you the example. The game before they really stunk it out in St. Louis, they had won the 2 previous games. Mm-hmm. But the second one was against Columbus, not a very good team where they flat out really didn't play very well. They relied heavily on a great performance from Kevin Lankinen to win. And so I think they're all like, we got to play better. You nod your head, you're like, we should be better. We got to do better. We'll do better in St. Louis. And then it goes the other way. They didn't learn their lessons from that. They got smoked. They got embarrassed. And it forced them into this position where they're like, we got to do something about it. It's time. These things have been festering for a while. We've won some. We've lost some. We have to be better. But all of a sudden it hit them, what they had to do. And they got into this meeting. They discussed it. They had the heart-to-heart, the uncomfortable conversations, meaningful stuff. And here they are. They've now since then played probably their best 3-game stretch, I think, considering the competition, who they've beaten, and the way they've beaten them.
Yeah, if you're winning in whatever sport it is, team sport, let's just say that, team sport, and then individual sports as well, but I think more so in team sports, if you're winning and there's mistakes being made, then you can sort of excuse the mistakes and say, well, we won in spite of not doing this. I think the mark of a team that a championship team, a team that is that understands how to win, what it takes to win. They and I'm not saying that the Preds don't know how to win or don't understand, because there are guys on their team that have won Stanley Cups, so they know how to win. But I think sometimes when you say McDonough, for instance, he's won Stanley Cups, but you come in as the new guy, you got to kind of sort of find your place on a team. You don't feel you can, well, maybe I can say something, maybe not, maybe I need to hold back. You're not going to say anything until you feel comfortable. And usually, when you feel comfortable with everybody, it's usually toward the end of the season, going into the next season, where you feel now, my voice will be heard from everybody. But those teams they usually point out, even during the winning, hey, listen, these are things we need to do in order to continue winning, because it's going to come to a point where these things that we're doing, we're not correcting, it's going to cost us. Unfortunately, for the Preds, it didn't come when it should have, but better late than never, because they understand that, listen, before the All-Star break, we need to get everything in place. We need to make sure everybody is on the same page. And you only do that. The only way you can make sure that happens is everybody hears the same message and everybody hears, okay, and it's going to be tough. Listen, you need to play better. You need to play better. I need to play better. These are things that I am seeing as a leader on this team. You're not doing, or you need to get better at it. I know you can do it. I've seen you do it. You've done it. So there's no excuse why you're not doing it now. I'm not singling you out per se, but I'm telling you, the only way we win is if player A, B, C, and D, if y'all elevate y'all games to where I know they can be. Well, the Predators did that, and you see what happened. They're on a 3-game winning streak. They've won, I think your factoid was, they're 19-5-2, somewhere around there.
19-10-5 in the last 34 games. So we're coming. So remember, they have 34 games left.
Yes.
So in the last 34 games, they're 19-10-5. That looks a lot more like what we thought this team could be. It's not, and to me, it still hasn't maxed out. This isn't the best. There's still more there. And there's going to need to be more there because they're still not in the playoffs right now. They're going to
still a point out.
They don't play for 11 games. They're still a point out. So when they come back in, they'll still be out of the playoffs and have to work their way in. But it looks better. And they're 12-5-2 in the last 19. Those were
that's what I meant. 12-5-2 in the last 19. Yeah.
So they're trending in the right direction despite these bumps in the road. The awful game against St. Louis that everybody freaked out at, which the team did something about, which was good. So that was like Matt Duchene's quote that jumped out at me. Maybe it's the silver lining. Maybe that had to happen for us to, have the meeting we had.
Yeah, Willie, I think you really have to hope that that's the case, because I think another injection that you could have that comes into the lineup at some point. I don't know how much you guys have kept track of Milwaukee whatsoever, because, Chase did ask David about Milwaukee a little bit in his time with him, earlier last week when he had that interview. And look, Tomasino has 12 points in the last 10 games. It's a matter of when, not if he comes up, I think. And that's an injection in the lineup that we need. And I'm not saying send down a guy like Cole Smith who's been working his butt off, but I think it's definitely warranted that we need to bring something else into this lineup. Because let's say we get 2 games out of this All-Star break and they are flat. We need something different. You cannot convince me otherwise. Tomasino is a goal scorer. Is he going to play top 6 minutes? That's a question yet to be seen, but that's what Poyle and Hines want out of him, and that's also what they want out of Cody Glass. So I'm just really curious to see what they do. Everybody is. They've been this one team that's been right on the bubble of the playoffs. When they come back, this is put up or shut up time, honestly. So I'm curious to see what they do. And if they think someone's ready to come up and kind of save this bottom 6 or even top 6, and Parsonen's not playing well or Duchene's not playing well, bring up a Tomasino. Tomasino has been a really good player. He played all season with us last year. I think maybe he had some growing pains a little bit last year. That's why he's down there now. But Willie, I think you can agree with me in this respect that he does have something to offer when he is here and when he's playing at his best.
I think I'm really excited to see what he looks like when he does get back up, and I do think it is only a matter of time. It's not an if, it's a when. He's still only 21, and D-Mace, one of the things that I noticed last night, why are they playing well? Who's their number 1 center right now? It's Cody Glass. What happened with Cody Glass last year? Exactly what's happening to Tomasino this year. They thought he's not quite ready. He can still use some time in the AHL, developing. They sent him down there the entire year. And you asked Cody Glass about it today. He didn't particularly like it when they sent him down last year. He had played a lot of games in the NHL, just like Phil Tomasino did last year. But he got better. He worked on the things that he needed to do to get better, stronger, more confident. And it didn't happen overnight this year. The first 19 games he played this year, there were some healthy scratches in there mixed in. He only had 4 points. But now he's got 14 points in his last 19. So sometimes it's a slower process than you want it to be, but here he is. And the more I watch him, I don't think he's just a flash in the pan. I think he can stick there. But all that to say, to Nick's point, that's what I'm hoping is happening with Tomasino in the minors this year. Even though he played last year and he had some success, the rap on him was he can make a play. He can look really good. He made a lot of big plays. But they want him to be a guy that's in every night making a difference and not just a flash, right? They want growth and layers to his game. I think that's what the idea is, and Milwaukee has had a pretty good track record of developing guys. So I think Phil Tomasino is going to be a nice boost for them at some point down the stretch. It might be right towards the start of it. Maybe injuries probably will – I think it's going to happen one way or the other, even injuries or not. But you talk about so often Malik Willis and Titans quarterbacks in general, the lack of development. I think that's the luxury you have with a minor league system is you could put guys down there, let them play, and develop at a young age.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part you don't have when you're dealing with the NFL is, if you wanted a guy to develop well, the best development, I think, for a lot of guys is actually playing in games. Well, you don't have that because you're not going to just throw Malik Willis or anybody else in just to get them some reps. You're not going to do that. If they had a minor league or NFL Europe still around, maybe the USFL, if they had some type of cross-promotion type deal where, we can send a guy to you and you develop him and he comes back, that would work. But because, hockey, because of their minor leagues, it's a little bit better because you can develop a young guy, bring him up, let him play in AHL for a good while, and then bring him up when he's proven. Or in the case of Tomasino or Glass, hey, listen, we thought you can do it at the NHL level. You can't. You need some more season and put you down. See how you do. Are you patient with the process, or are you taking this as a demotion and you're getting upset? What it seems like Tomasino and Glass took it as we're patient with the process. We're going to use this to help us. So when we do get this opportunity again, and the only way we're going to get this opportunity if we show that we're growing at the minor league level. Well, Tomasino is showing that he's growing, so eventually he will get his chance back again in NHL.
Yeah, I do think there becomes a point where you kind of send the message with your play that you're ready. And to Nick's point, he's producing, right? So and he's healthy. He was hurt for a while. That sort of slowed things down a little bit. But I think all indications are he's making statements that, look, I'm knocking on the door here. It's time. And right now they're playing pretty well. And like you said, there's not a lot of space. The roster looks pretty good in this moment. Now, maybe you wouldn't have said that a week ago, but like I said, one way or the other, I think it's going to happen sooner than later. It's a good problem to have, and I do think he can be a boost because I don't see them doing a lot at the trade deadline with the salary cap situation. I think Tomasino could well be sort of that addition that you're looking can provide a spark. We'd love to get a few of your calls and thoughts, texts on our phone lines, 615-737-1025. Your thoughts at the All-Star break for the Predators. What questions do you have? Stay tuned. We're coming back with more here on 102.5 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Come on. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
The National Wild Turkey Federation is celebrating 50 years of conservation delivery during this year's convention and sports show, set for February 16th through 18th at Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Come celebrate the golden anniversary with members, volunteers, partners, and countless outdoor enthusiasts. You can expect the same great nightly events, quality entertainment in the watering hole, and the latest gear from more than 450 companies featured in their exhibit hall. For more info, go to nwtf.org.
Curation CBD, a Picton company, offers high-quality, lab-tested CBD products curated for life for both you and your pet.
Hi, I'm Adam Intihar, also known as the Dog Father of Nashville. Curation 600 milligram CBD roll-on really helps me get through my training days. Applying it in the morning and again at night helps me take bites from dogs like Zulu or go on adventures with dogs like Lieutenant Dan. Curation is awesome.
Discover the full range of Curation products online at CurationCompany.com.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-249-2509. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-249-2509 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-249-2509 to see if you qualify. That's 800-249-2509.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I think, for me, to overcook a player in the minors is probably better. When they come up there, they're more capable of dealing with the emotion of success or not having success. They've earned it, all those type of things. So, because once a player gets into the league, emotionally, when you have to send them back after a year of playing in the National Hockey League, everybody's going, well, what happened? Why, what went wrong? What'd you do? You're not as good as you thought you were. And all these thoughts that never came to this player's head are now in his head. And he's thinking about, I got to get back up there, but he's not focused on his job of being a good player and playing himself out of the American Hockey League again. And you see so many of those guys struggle. So
it's Barry Trotz recently on the Preds Official podcast with Darren McFarland, Kara Hammer. Good wisdom there. He's seen it in so many places going back his first go-round with the Predators and then his other stops in Washington and then New York. You could apply what he's saying to Cody Glass and Phil Tomasino like we were talking about in the last segment. Phil Tomasino is still only 21 years old, so there's a lot of hockey left in his future. So he's just scratching the surface here.
You know what? When Trotzy was talking, I was thinking, and it was brief, but I was thinking, it just reminded me like, okay, my first year in the NFL, 97, being a 4th-round draft pick. Now, what was Tomasino? What draft pick was it?
First round.
First round. Cody Glass was what?
He was the 6th pick overall, but not for the Predators, but for Vegas.
7th pick by the Vegas Golden Knights.
Okay. So you take 2 first-rounders, basically. Because I'm thinking about this, like if, I'm 22, 23 years old, my first year in the NFL, and this is when the NFL Europe was going on too. How would I have felt after playing some games in the NFL? Because I end up starting, my first game. I end up starting first game of the year, my rookie year, against the Oakland Raiders. I was the 3rd receiver, and we went in. First game in a 3 wide receiver package for that first play. So I got a lot of playing experience that first game because Derek Russell, who was the slot guy, he was hurt. So I ended up playing as a rookie. And I'm just thinking, okay, after that season, and I didn't put up a lot of yards. I maybe had like 200 yards, but I sort of felt like I was getting my rhythm in and I was figuring things. I'm just thinking, like, had they sent me to NFL Europe, how would I have felt as a player?
Yeah, would you have taken that as a good sign or not a good sign?
Yeah, and probably me, I probably at first would have took it as not a good sign. Like,
That's a natural reaction.
Exactly. Like, man, why am I played, and it's like.
You're demoting me.
Exactly, you're demoting me. Like, I got to go over here and, I got to take my family with me and I got to go through all this. So I'm just trying to think, I can understand how a Cody Glass may have felt when he initially got there, or Tomasino, how they felt when they initially, after playing NHL games, and then you sort of look at it as, man, I'm getting demoted. But then I guess once you get there, you got to sort of change your thinking. Like, I can look at this as a demotion, or I can look at this as an opportunity for me to get better. Obviously they believed in me because they drafted me in the first round. So if I go here and I do the things that I'm supposed to do and get better, then eventually I'm going to have to come back up by my play.
I'll give you another example from when Barry Trotz was the coach. Matthias Ekholm went back home to Sweden. He came up with the Predators. He played a couple of games. He wasn't ready. Mm-hmm. Barry Trotz was very critical of him. In fact, the quote way back, people remember this. He said, if you're scared, get a dog. Next thing you know, Matthias Ekholm, who nobody knew much about, they knew he was a good prospect. He's on a plane back and went and played a whole nother year in his home country of Sweden to develop, get older, get stronger. Came back the next year, he was better. The following year, I think it was under Peter Laviolette that he really blossomed, and now here he is, one of the linchpins for the better part of a decade now. So not everybody grows in the same at the same rate.
Exactly.
Right? There's different pathways to get to where it was, but. And it was some tough love with Matthias Ekholm. He would tell you about that.
Now nobody messes with him. If you piss him off, then you have pissed off the whole team. Him and Tanner Jeannot, man, they are oxes.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting pathway of how players get to their potential. We got a call. Let's go to Ray, who is online too. Ray, welcome to the show. You're on 102.5 The Game.
Hey, thanks, Willie D. Mays. Really appreciate it. To me, it's all about the playoffs. Obviously, the Predators play a strong defensive game in the regular season, but, when the playoffs, there's a lot less time and space. And it's all about goaltending and defense. I really think the Preds' offense is suitable to accumulate enough points, even in the West, to get into the playoffs. With a healthy Stars, my biggest issue, though, is now we're dropping defensemen like flies out there. Now Carrier's out for, 4 to 6 weeks, I believe. And then you've got Boro, I don't have any clue what's going on with him. He's missed most of the season. My question is, do you look at possibly the deadline to get a depth piece, maybe a veteran, and have somebody that can, play a 5-6 role for your defensive lineup, and maybe solidify that lower part of the and even have the ability to jump into the number 4 spot on D? I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Love the show. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, Ray, thanks. And I'm going to couple this with a text we got from Joe on here asking about Borowiecki. It's a good question. Missing Carrier is going to be something they've got to navigate through. So you figure by the time they come back, it'll be 2 weeks out of the timetable of 4 to 6 weeks. So let's hope it's closer to 4 weeks and not 6 weeks. because every week obviously is 2 or 3 games, depending on the, how thick the schedule is there. But in the meantime, you've got McDonough and Yossi, you've got Ekholm. I thought that Jeremy Lauzon stepped up last night. I think he's playing his best hockey as a Predator. We checked this. Now, last night he didn't have a lot of hits, but he was leading the league in hits since the calendar turned to 2023. You go back to December 30th, he has the most hits of anybody in the league. He is hammering people. And that's not everything, right? You can't just hit people. You got to get the job done beyond that, but he's playing better. He's improved. Dante Fabro is a guy that is going to have an opportunity here, I think, to really show what he's got. He hasn't had a great season to this point, but he's going to get chances here. All that to say, they don't have a lot of cap space. I don't know if they're going to make a move for a defenseman. I think they like Jordan Gross, who is in the minors right now, but there are rules with waivers on him. If they bring him up, they pretty much have to keep him up. But I think he's part of this equation. And as far as Borowiecki, he's around the team a lot more. He's at the rink a lot more. But they haven't put a timetable on it, and it's the concussion history. It's the dramatic nature of what happened to him against Philadelphia when he was carried off on a stretcher. He's a guy who plays with such an edge. And there's a process you have to go through to be ready to skate, to be ready to start practicing. And it's just like any other concussion. You just don't know, when you'll be able to keep crossing those barriers to be able to get the clearance to play. So we're still not sure if he's going to play again this year. You can't know one way or the other. Hopefully there's some good news down the road, but I just think the feeling that I get is, number one, we have to think of his long-term situation. We've talked a lot about Ben Jones in this regard, right? The utmost respected type of player that would do anything for his team. He's a spiritual leader of a team on the inside. Boro means a lot to the team, just like Ben Jones does. We saw the embrace with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
I think Boro's got some of that, right? So they love having him around. But you have to think of his well-being for the rest of his life and not just for the rest, for these next couple months. So that's what I think. I mean, they're officially that's what they've been saying is no timetable yet for Mark Borowiecki. They can't know when and if he'll be available again this season.
Right, and I think the short term, and before we break here, I think the short term way to explain this to our fans is I think Poyle is happy with the depth. I don't think he could make a move, and Willie makes a very fair point with that, with the cap space. They'd like a guy like Kevin Gravel and Jordan Gross because they brought them up. Roland McEwen has also been rotated in and out too. I think you have those 3 guys that have valuable NHL experience, some more than the other, but I think that they like their depth. So I think that's the short-term answer.
Yep. And so they don't have that young Shea Weber type or Ekholm type that they think has a high ceiling in the minors right now. They've got, Gravel and McEwen are a little more veteran. Gross is a little younger. I think they do think that long-term he could be a guy that sticks for a while. So it's something to keep your eye on. Gentry in Nashville. Preds end February and start March with an 8-game road trip. Won't be favored in a single game in April, except maybe April 1st against the Blues. I'm encouraged about the recent play. What makes any more than casual fan feel confident that they should still be buyers and they'll make the playoffs? Well, buyers, I don't know if it's going to be buyers because of the cap. I wouldn't rule it out, but they'd have to be creative to add a lot. But like we said, Tomasino and some of these other guys in Milwaukee, they could help. Here's what it boils down to. D-Mace, you saw me doodling this. They're 19-10-5 in the last 34. They have 34 left. If they had the exact same record, 19-10-5, they would be at 97 points, which is exactly where they ended up last year. And I think that would be enough to get them into the playoffs. And then you get the real question that everybody's had since the beginning of the season. Can you win in the playoffs, right? Because that's where you're supposed to be, right? Yeah. That's the expectation, is not just to make the playoffs, but to win a playoff round, do some damage in the playoffs. Because that's what has been the most frustrating thing to the fans, is that they haven't been able to win a playoff series since 2018, right?
Yeah.
But they're going to have to work hard just to get there. So the Gentry is right on, right? They can't just be sitting there patting themselves on the back that we've arrived, right? They have to keep carrying this over.
Second half to play.
Yep, they have to do it. All right, when we come back, we will get our final thoughts on the AFC and NFC Championship game weekend. And we'll rotate back to something we learned out of Kansas City about the two possible candidates for the Titans' offensive coordinator position, Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy. Stay tuned. We're coming back here on 102.5 The Game.
Hey, I'm Ryan Johansson, and this is Smashville.
Back to Johansson, and Johansson tips it in with one hand on the stick.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the fun extends beyond the beach because here the arts are alive, the food is al fresco, and the nightlife is electric. So let's forget the cold and find our place in the sun. Let's explore captivating collections at the Salvador Dali Museum and bask in bay views from the St. Pete Pier. Let's fill up on fresh cod cuisine and catch up over cold craft beer on rooftop patios. Day or night, let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Golfers, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops and go farther and faster with the new G430 woods and irons from Ping. The Ping G430 woods introduce the next generation of speed with new face technology for longer and more accurate shots. The new Ping G430 irons are designed with pure flex technology for faster ball speed and more distance. Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit on the new Ping G430 woods and irons today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Petty Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC on your home for TSU basketball. 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I would say it would be, if it comes down, it's just a two-horse race. I would say it's Eric Bieniemy because I don't think Matt Nagy's going to leave. Matt Nagy's college teammate at Delaware was Brett Veach, the general manager. Andy Reid is 61, 62 years old. I think he's going to coach as long as he can physically do it. But Matt Nagy went to Chicago, came back. He liked Kansas City. He likes Kansas City again. He's got a young family. I don't know that he wants to be the stop, go from town to town, which is part of the deal as a coach. But if you can wait your turn, have success, and you get the offensive coordinator job in Kansas City, and your college teammate is the general manager, you look like the coach in waiting for the Kansas City Chiefs.
That was Soren Petro earlier today on our show. Caroline Willie D. Mace here on 102.5 The Game. Caroline's off for the rest of the weekend. We'll talk to her on Monday. But we went over to Kansas City. We wanted to get a little closer look at what the picture looks like for the Chiefs, who, of course, are trying to get to another Super Bowl. That's the big thing. But there are two candidates that reportedly the Titans have asked to speak to when the time is right. Matt Nagy, who is right now the quarterback's coach, is that right? And the offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. So he had a lot to say about both of those guys. So we sort of asked Soren, who covers that team every day, to size up what he thinks it looks like there. He thinks they will have permission to talk to both of them when the time is right. They will talk to him. He talked about Nagy as a guy that would maybe fit the more profile of coach in waiting and willing to sort of wait it out, and when the time is right, replace Andy Reid, although I don't know if Andy Reid's going anywhere anytime soon. I wonder about that. And then he had some very interesting things to say about Bieniemy as to why he thinks Bieniemy has been finishing second, is the way he put it, in a lot of interviews for head coaching jobs, etc. And the conclusion he sort of drew is he might be the guy that is really more apt to want to try it somewhere else and show everybody that he can get something done outside of the Kansas City labels that he gets, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't call the plays. That's first and foremost. And then the second thing that Soren sort of speculated was he may not be the best in interview settings. And you couple the two things together, and it has him falling just short. So that's got to be really frustrating for Eric Bieniemy. I don't know how he is viewed from Mike Vrabel's standpoint on what he's looking for, but that's maybe what Mike Vrabel is going to want to find out when the time is right.
Yeah, I think so. whether it's Nagy or Bieniemy, I think you would be getting two guys that are capable or more than capable of calling plays. I think Soren made a excellent point, and I thought about this yesterday. Like, if I'm Matt Nagy, why do I want to remove myself from, this situation that I have in Kansas City? If Eric Bieniemy chooses to move on and get a coordinator job somewhere else, which I think he's going to have to, you can only stay under the comfort of that situation for so long, unless, if you aspire to be a head coach, then you can only stay there for so long. Now, if you just want to be a coordinator, then, you stay there as long as they want to have you. But I'm sure Eric Bieniemy wants to become a head coach, and I'm sure Matt Nagy wants to become a head coach again as well. But I think for Bieniemy, he needs to remove himself away from that tree. He needs to, try to, get himself off that branch, plant himself somewhere else, and allow himself to grow outside of Andy Reid. And I think he's more inept to get a head coaching job than apart from Andy Reid. I think it's going to be very hard to get a head coaching job. I didn't realize that Eric Bieniemy was basically given the head coaching job at Colorado, and he declined it. I wonder, maybe Colorado wasn't at a point in their program where he foresaw them doing any winning. Maybe he didn't want to do all the recruiting that goes along with that, or maybe he just felt he wasn't ready at that particular point. But it's like, man, opportunities like that don't come along too many times where you get to head coach a big program, a program with some winning history. But he declined that. So if he wants a coaching job, I think a head coaching job in this league, he's going to have to remove himself sort of from Kansas City and be able to replant himself somewhere else and watch an offense grow. Matt Nagy, he stays in Kansas City. He would almost be the heir apparent, to Andy Reid if Andy Reid chooses to retire anytime soon.
Here's a little more of what Soren Petro in Kansas City had to say about Eric Bieniemy.
I think they will grant permission. I think Andy Reid, does a good job of, he's got a great coaching tree. Obviously, they didn't sneak out of town. They get their interviews. And I think, reality has set in that Eric Bieniemy is not going to be hired as a head coach. And that's disappointing because his resume certainly says he should be a head coach. But it's disappointing because I like the guy. It's disappointing because I think he's a good football coach and a good guy. But I think there are some things that are lacking in his game as a coach, right? He was terrible at the podium when he first got the offensive coordinator's job. He's gotten better. He's gotten more polished. He's still not the best. So if he does a poor job against what is a small, and let's be honest, pretty peaceful Kansas City media, do you think he's going to be dynamic when he's interviewing in front of a billionaire owner? I don't think so. Tony Dungy had that knock, that he didn't interview well. I've heard that about Eric Bieniemy.
So he that was the beginning of his answer, and he went through a long series of things. Now, what you have to hope for, if that's the tag on you, then hopefully he's worked at it and he's gotten better at that. And we've seen a lot. We can show a lot of examples of, like, I'll even take Mike Vrabel. I think he's much more comfortable at the podium than he was his first year.
Exactly.
I think he's much more comfortable on the sideline. His rapport with the referees, with his game management. I just think these are things that you improve if you're a good coach, if you're a person that is eventually ascending to a leadership position. You work on your weaknesses, right? If it's not something that comes naturally to you.
Yeah, but do you think, listening to Soren and him saying, listen, when he was coordinator, he had to get up to the podium. He wasn't great. And I'm sure after that they sort of pulled him back some. Do you think it might have hurt him rather than help him? From this regard, Willie, if he's not good at the podium speaking to the media, I can see it Andy Reid, because Andy seems like a guy that cares about individuals. I can see Andy saying, you know what, let me pull you back. Let's give the illusion that I'm the one calling plays, but you're really calling plays. So if they really want questions, they're going to come to me. you're not ready to answer those questions yet. You're just not comfortable with answering those questions. So, yeah, you're calling majority of the plays, but but the illusion is given that I'm the guy that's calling plays. So then they don't have to ask you the tough questions. They're going to ask me the tough questions. That could almost have been a hindrance to him. Let him get out there, and if he's the offensive coordinator, let him answer these tough questions because, they're not going to be that tough with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, because y'all doing more winning than you are losing. So just let him go out there and learn trial by error. And so now you get comfortable with those hard questions. Maybe they did him a disservice by sort of reining him back a little bit.
It's a fair point, no question. All right, when we come back, we will make our final predictions on the championship games this weekend. 2 games that everybody is looking forward to. 4 of the best teams in pro football this year meeting head-to-head to see who goes to the Super Bowl. But first, let's get caller number 5 on this prize. The Sad Summer Festival with Taking Back Sunday, Motion City Soundtrack, The Main, and more. It's coming up at Ascend Amphitheater. Great place on a summer night to spend an evening. This is July 23rd, so you got a little time to plan. You want tickets to it right now? Just be caller number 5. 615-737-1025. That's 615-737-1025. Back to wrap things up on the show after this.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Nissan. It's a new year, so I thought I would share my personal resolution with you. My resolution is to be able to hula hoop on the trampoline for 1 minute. This might be painful. Since I've had years of practice making resolutions, I thought I'd give you some tips on making yours. It should involve 3 key components. First, make it something new, like texting without using your thumbs. Second, make it easy, like reading more, or at least turning the subtitles on while binge watching Netflix. And third, make sure no matter what, that you buy your next new car from Newton. We want to make your purchase fast and easy with Newton FastPass. We'll even deliver the car to you. Remember, new, easy, and buy at Newton. I have a feeling this next year is going to be great. Shop at newtonnissan.com to start your resolution today. See website for details. Put your resolutions in writing.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
You look at yourself in the mirror every day and you can't deny it anymore. Your hair is not as thick as it used to be, and it's making you feel self-conscious. Hair Club is here to save the day. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair and feel confident again. No matter what stage of hair loss, they can help. Hair Club can customize a solution just for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase.
They're insightful.
To me, you got a left guard situation you got to figure out.
Credible.
I trust this guy more than this guy.
But sometimes they just argue.
Why do you like the NFL playoffs? Those teams lose
I don't want college football to be the NFL.
When they get...
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, we're back here to wrap things up. Stillman and Company coming up at 2 o'clock. We're here in the Game Studio, sponsored by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And you can always watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. The video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. All right, here we go, D-Mace. It's time. We got to put it on the line. Our thoughts on the championship games. We've been breaking them down all week. Let's start with this. Like we talked to Soren Petro. We've been watching the clips from practice. Mm-hmm. I cannot help but think back to when Ryan Tannehill got the high ankle sprain. Mm-hmm. And you and I were saying it. It's a high ankle sprain. They weren't saying it, but we all knew it. The way he turned the ankle. We have both had the high ankle sprain. It's hard to do. You can do anything you want, but if it's a true high ankle sprain, it's going to be tough to move around.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill missed 2 games, even though that week people were saying, well, he walked up to the podium. He wasn't limping. Hey, here he is, a little clip at practice. He's handing the ball off. He's throwing. But what did we not see? We didn't see the quick change of directions, the full speed that you have to be able to move at. So we don't know. Mm-hmm. We don't know the degree of the high ankle sprain compared to Tannehill. But Patrick Mahomes, I just don't think will be 100%. Do we think he can win despite the injury?
Despite the injury, can he still win? I think he can. But a lot of it is going to fall on, McKinnon and Pacheco, those 2 guys, to be able to run the football. So it's going to be tough for Patrick Mahomes. But, listen, a 75-80% Patrick Mahomes is better than 90% of the NFL right now. So it's not the day it happens, meaning the high ankle sprain. It's the days after that you start to feel that pain and you start to get a lot more restricted in what you can do from a mobility standpoint. They're going to have to lean, like I said, they're going to have to lean heavy on their run game. And, in Cincinnati, listen, they didn't stop the run against Baltimore. Baltimore still had, they had some holes they ran through. They were running the ball pretty good. Buffalo at times ran it well. So if Kansas City wants to win this game, yes, you rely on Patrick Mahomes, but you got to lean on your run game this game because, Patrick isn't, the Patrick Mahomes that we've seen throughout the season. He's hobbled. He's restricted in what he can do.
The Bengals have beaten them 3 straight times. All 3 have been very, very tight, could have gone either way kind of games. The line is Kansas City by 1 right now. We know the odds makers, they accumulate as much information as they can on injuries behind the scenes. I'm curious, what do you think the line would be, considering all this, if Patrick Mahomes were 100%? No injury. Would it be 3? How many points?
I think
it'd
be 3.
So they're factoring that in a little bit.
I think it'd be a 3-point, 3-point line.
And you said earlier this week you thought by the time they kick off, it might be a dead pick 'em.
Yeah, I think so. I think even, because Patrick Mahomes being hurt, that means a lot. Even though he more than likely will play, even though they showed him, sort of not limping, they didn't show you the whole practice. They're not showing you when he's walking around the building. They're not showing you the things that you need to see in order to make your prediction of who's going to play. And rightfully so. I wouldn't show you anything either. So I would expect this one to be a pick 'em. Come tomorrow morning, or when do they play? Sunday? They got the late game?
That game is the late game Sunday, 5:30 our time.
So I would say by Sunday it would be a pick 'em.
I am taking the Bengals.
I'm taking the Bengals too. I just think, this year, I think this year's the Bengals year.
I agree. I think they're better than they were last year. All right, on to the NFC. 49ers, Eagles. Eagles by 2.5. 49ers coming in, playing great defense. They haven't lost in a long time. Eagles look healthy. They were so sharp last week. Your thoughts?
Here's the crazy part about it. Both teams, offensively and defensively, are ranked in the top 5 in the National Football League. Both teams. They do it different ways, but both teams are, defensively, San Francisco's 1, Philadelphia's 2. Offensively, Philadelphia's 3, and San Francisco's number 5 throughout the season. So this is going to be, I think it's going to be a historic matchup. I'm leaning toward Philly because I don't think San Fran has faced a team like Philadelphia all year long, where the offensive line is great, the receivers are great, good to great, the tight end is good, the quarterback is playing at an MVP level, and that defense is playing just as good or even better at times than your defense. And I look at San Fran, and the deciding factor to me, as good as Brock Purdy has been playing, if Philadelphia finds a way, which is going to be hard because they do give up a lot of yards per rush, Philadelphia do, their defense, if they can find a way to stop that run game and force Kyle Shanahan to put the ball into Brock Purdy's hands, is he ready for that? As good as he has played, is he ready for that in the NFC Championship game?
And I love the Brock Purdy story. I love the underdog stories, but you cannot help to lean that way. I want it. Can he do it in a hostile atmosphere if he has to make some big plays? I hope he can, but I'm skeptical. I'm going with the Eagles. And there's 2 great stories at quarterback here. One of them is going to be playing for a Super Bowl to try to buck the trend of you got to have the first-round quarterback, the franchise guy. But so Hurts has moved up the charts. He's trying to prove to everybody that he is a franchise quarterback. Got to play well in these types of games. Purdy's trying to prove that he is a starting quarterback. He's got to make it happen tomorrow. A lot of great drama. Sunday at 2.
Thing to watch is the San Francisco offensive line. Can they deal with the noise in Philadelphia? Will we see multiple false starts and holding calls by San Francisco? Something that they have not done. They've been a good offensive line. So playing in that environment, that noise, can they hold their water long enough and not get any false starts or holding calls?
I take the Eagles minus the 2.5.
I'm going with the Eagles. I think they are the most complete team in the National Football League right now.
All right, Nick, you've got the tape. You've heard us. We've got them. We're both going Eagles. We're both going Bengals. What do you got?
I tell you what, I like Joe Burrow enough, and I think he is just that guy. He is that guy. So I really think he's going to step up this weekend, further that legacy in his young career. And I heard him today while we've been on the show. He is very determined to win this one. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. And I tell you what, give me the 49ers. I think it's going to be a real close game. I think it's going to be a lot more fun to watch than the Chiefs and the Bengals, purely just based on the fact I really want to see what the 49ers offense does. And like Derek said, it's going to be a real battle in the trenches. I think that's going to be the game to watch, but give me the Niners.
All right. Nick, great stuff this week. D-Mace, it's been a pleasure. Have a great time in Boston this weekend.
Thank you, Willie. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Enjoy the Garden. Yeah.
Mahoney got games this weekend.
He's got a big game tonight versus BGA. USN versus BGA.
Let's go
Showdown.
USN.
Showdown. It's going to be fun. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the championship games. We're back with you Monday. Caroline will be with us. Coming up next, we've got Stillman and company. He is raring to go.
Peace.
watch the game.
Sliding across, making the stop, UC Cerro.
We talk the game.
That wraparound goal by Sanford was a beaut.
Taters, you know, Ryan.
Orthopedics, they strictly adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators took down the New Jersey Devils 6-4 last night, handing them their third regulation loss on the road this season. Nashville currently sits 1 point outside of a playoff wildcard spot going into the All-Star break. And it's conference championship weekend in the NFL. The AFC features Joe Burrow and the Bengals going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then over in the NFC, it's Brock Purdy and the 49ers versus Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. And Sorin Petro joined Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace this afternoon and addressed Patrick Mahomes and the status of his ankle. Mahomes was a full participant in today's practice.
But you know, the real question is going to be, can he move laterally when he's in the pocket and he gets pressure? And we're not going to know that until Sunday. My expectation is no, he won't be able to. And so we're going to see a very limited Patrick Mahomes, one that's going to have to live from the pocket.
I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing Heating,
Chase and Michelle,
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace,
Stillman Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Cranks it, he scores.
On both sides of the one big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny